Good looking out, keep getting clout. This is what it's about. We love teaching. There is no time. They programmed your mind. Construction blind. We not sleeping. Come join the love, come join the fun, and call it education. Let's get profound. Let's uncover all of the deep. Arcane things. Good looking out. Good looking out. Good looking out with no shoot out. Come join the love, come join the fun, and call it education. Let's get profound. Let's uncover all of the deep. Arcane things. Good looking out. Good looking out. Good looking out with no shoot out. Good looking out. Good looking out. Good looking out with no shoot out. Diego, we gon' go. Diego, we gon' go. Diego, we gon' go. With no so let's go. We going to go. With no so let's go. 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 Let's go.
All right. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Hotep. Namaste. Yatahe. Shalom. Shalom. All the greetings of love and light to the darkest minds of the light. I am Napashadai, and we are back again. I told you we were coming back. I'm here with DJ Genesis, Alchemizing Energy DJ Genesis, and we're getting ready to do another show. You see what's on the screen. Peace, Genesis.
Peace. How's it going?
All right, great. It's going wonderfully. I'm tongue-tied today, but we have the divine feminine prophets predicted Christ. We're going to stay in the vein of showing the truth about women in antiquity and now represented divinely. Women who were divinely inspired. I will argue, and so will many, not just me and not just Genesis, that women were the first prophets. They were the sages. They were the Sibyls, the Vestal virgins, the prophets that were consulted about prophecy and the miracles that were to come regarding the spirit of what you say, God, the Most High, the Holy Spirit. What's another word that you use, Genesis? For the spirit,
the Holy Spirit. The
divine intervention or divine inspiration, right?
Yes.
Okay, so where do you want to start? This is a great picture. Can you explain what we're looking at though before we even get started?
So, okay, I know at least in Ifa we had Ibaru, Ibuye, and Ibo Shishe, and they were the ones that during in Ifa that actually was the one who gave power to Orunmila, because he had to like get the messages from those three women before he was able to go to Oludumare, and there was a whole thing with that. So, but it was showing but also this is also about the same story, kind of similar, also happened in biblical times. Not biblical time, but like in the Roman times in Italy, these women predicted revelations. There were women that they were the writers, the original writers of like certain books and revelations. There were also writers of Shakespeare. So that's what we're kind of going to get into. And the first thing I wanted to go is kind of talk about the sages in Yoruba culture. And how, this didn't only happen in Yoruba culture, but it actually happened across the board throughout Africa, it was almost like a similar thing that was happening at the same time across the board, which was interesting. So I thought that this would be a really good topic to bring up, so.
Okay, wonderful. So let me take this beautiful depiction down and let's go ahead and start out right away. I'm going to let you get started. By the way, everybody, you know what we ask you to please do: hit the like button, subscribe to all the channels that are available. Genesis is dual streaming, but her channel is, I know your channel, but I want you to say it.
It's DJ Genesis Detroit. It's right there underneath my icon. That's how you get to my channel. Please like and subscribe. I do a lot of hard work on there trying to keep the channel going. And so as much support as possible would be great.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and share this with, this is Abundance Child, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to share this and you want to get to speaking about it and get going. Well, I'll just mute out for now.
So this is the actual story that happened that is explaining what happened to the women sages in Yoruba culture in Nigeria and basically throughout Africa. And the book is called Iyanifa, written by Dr. Ayele Kumari. And in that book, Iyanifa, she actually goes over what exactly happened during those times and how like the information was taken from these women and how they were treated. So without further ado, let's hear it.
All right.
Somebody created the initiation. Somebody created the shrine, the beads, all those traditions, the culture.
Right. And I think it was men and women. I don't think it was just one-sided.
It definitely wasn't just one side, even though we as a people have always been matrilineal and matrifocal. And those things have changed. That's why, if you don't mind, I wanted to read some things from this book.
Mm-hmm.
Would you mind putting the light for me? Because my eyes. The first known, documenting women's mysteries in the tradition, which is Isheshe. The first known documentation came in 1915 from a woman anthropologist in her book called Women's Mysteries of a Primitive People, which I just happen to sell in Drop Squad Kitchen.
She's going to go over all the books and show you the covers.
Amori Talbot. There she documents a trying tale of how men stole the mysteries of the women's secrets in societies in southeast Nigeria. The tale was recounted by 3 elder women who explained that in the old days, women used to outnumber men. As men grew, they became dissatisfied with their lot and began to conspire for more by asking for the women to share the secrets of the mysteries so that they would become strong as a society. Upon meeting, the women debated the suggestion with the elder women, stating emphatically to not do so. They did not trust the men in their plight. The younger women, however, fought on behalf of their husbands and suggested that the elder women cared only for things of yesterday and that it was a new day. Eventually, the old women overcame the elders and did share the mysteries with the full rights and every secret by means of which they had formerly held dominion. Shortly thereafter, new laws were created to forbid women to participate in their own ceremonies, including the ancestral plays. Instead, they would be taken over by men and become a men's society where women were forbidden. Further, if any woman would try to participate, witness, or practice, they would escort her to the market and behead her for all of the town to see, so that all other women would be dissuaded from participation. Now, since the men were stronger in limb and cruel, the women were forced to comply. Only 2 elder women remained who still practiced keeping their pots hidden in palm fronds in the ceiling, and one eventually was slashed by a machete. This forced the movement into the women's mysteries to go underground. The tale seemed to be one of the few remnants of women's stories and what happened to their mysteries, except a month after discovering this text, I met a woman who was Kikuyu from Kenya. Her name was Wangari, and she became a great source of knowledge about the Kikuyu women's traditions. Trained in the ways of the ancients by her mother and unfamiliar with the previous story above, she also recounted a similar tale of the history of the women's tradition in Kikuyu. Her story differed only slightly in that conspiracy involved the husbands pressing the young wives for the secrets and one acquired. and conspired to get all the menstruating women pregnant at the same time. Now, you know, women who live together and in nature have synchronized cycles of ovulation, menstruation, and birth, since these were some of the mysteries. The men then knew how to achieve the task. Now, since the women were great fighters, they had to attack when they were weakest in order to win. And at the height of pregnancy, the women were incapacitated, and the other women that remained were elder women who were so weak. It was then that the men took over and overthrew the female chief. These stories suggest that there was a mass movement across the continent where women's mysteries were taken and then used against them. I just wanted to.
All right. Thoughts?
Basically, I'm just listening how the women, it was taken away from the women.
And then if they were able to, if they tried to practice it, then they would behead them.
They would be taken out. Yeah, that's crazy.
Someone
That
said
makes sense.
Someone said in the comments they beheaded and ate her. I don't know about the eating part. Wow.
Oh, I believe that. FS Drake, Theo. I can buy that for sure. Because they believed in the power. They knew that she had the power, and they do that today. They believe that when they eat the person, they get their powers. That happens with the with a lot of different these spiritual systems. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So I think it's crazy that they pressed the young women, right? The older women were not going to give the mysteries. I think that what happened is that there was too much power for the women had to have. And they felt like, okay, we need to get control of. They probably had a meeting, like, we got to get control of these women. They have too much power. And
Right.
so they probably had a council. Hey, we got to, like, okay, how can we do this? So, all right. So in that part of the country, it was like, okay, we have to go with the younger women. In Kenya, it was like, okay, we're going to get them while they're pregnant and then, like, you know, attack them and get the information. It's crazy. Hung, drowned, and quartered. Right. And so it's interesting when you move into the Bible, how it talks about the same sages. What were they? They were in caves. So did these sages have to hide and run in the caves to be able to, like, survive? Interesting, right? So, I mean, it's interesting when you actually look at this whole thing is that these women, whenever you see them, even because they talked about how in the movies there's like these women that are like these older women, they make them look like they're all decrepit and witchly and looking crazy and stuff like that in a cave somewhere. And somewhere during the quest, they have to see these women that is deep dark into this darkened cave, and they're having to live in isolation. So it's interesting when you get into a lot of shamanism, there's like this isolation situation, and I wonder why. Is because, like, was they in danger? Did they have
The
to
women
hide?
were in danger. Yeah.
Like the
And
same.
then some of the men would tell them, "Oh, we'll protect you," and they would keep them hidden, tucked away. And this is something that I learned from studying this from Ed Dodge and from other people who talk about the goddess that they've tried to erase. So some of the women were told, "We will protect you," by the men, but they really were taking the information from the women, as I told you before, and going to the people and saying, "Oh, this is what God told us," when they really were getting the information from the oracles, the seers, you know?
And that's where we get into this actual story of the Sibyls, who were a group of female prophets and seers from ancient times whose prophecies were believed to foretell the coming of Christ. And then some say that the Sibyls' prophecies were used by the Roman papals to create the formation of the Christian Bible.
Right.
All right, so I just want to kind of get into this a little bit. I did this show and we were talking about it, so I'm not sure when we chime in on this. So if I do find ourselves chiming in, I'll just pause it. But let's go.
To create the foundation of the Christian Bible. The name Sibyl derives from the Greek word Sibylla, meaning prophetess, and is associated with prophetic wisdom and divine guidance. They entered into states of ecstatic frenzies and spoke in tongues and prophesied the future. Like many oracles, the Sibyls seemed to be possessed by a divine frenzy. When they spoke, they often seemed to be out of their mind or mad. To the ancients, this was not an indication of fault, Rather,
Real
it was an
quick, pause it,
invitation.
because I wanted to say this to people. You can watch these movies like 300 and different series on Rome, and you will see the Vestal Virgins, and you'll see in the movie, the 300 movie, where they have the virgin laid out to prophesy, and she's like writhing in pain. Have you seen that scene?
Yeah, yeah.
That's one of the prophets. That's one of the Sibyls or one of the oracles. So yes, that's what they're talking about.
Right. So if you actually look at like the Christian church, if you ever notice that a lot of like the church is filled with women, more women than men.
Yeah.
You might have a man as a preacher. Like it's interesting how the man is the preacher, but then the women were told that they can't speak in the church. Remember?
Yeah.
So who probably was behind that man, really probably helping him to put together these sermons? Is probably his wife or the first lady, right?
It still is today. Yes, it still is today.
Right.
Even not just, let me tell you, even in the scripture, in the Passion of Christ, in the gospel, when they're doing Christ on trial, the wife tells Pontius Pilate, I had a dream, do not crucify this man. It shows that his wife is telling him, beware of what you're about to do. This isn't good. So even then in the Bible, they show that. They show the wife telling the husband who's in the power. Just want to say that.
Interesting. They always have a first woman, a first lady, the first even with the presidency, there's the first lady, right? There's the first lady of the church. So could this be a actual oracle?
Oh, you know what also I want to say about GMS? They teach their men, your wife can't teach and she can't speak, but listen to her dreams, because the women have the dreams, they have the prophecy. This is what these Hebrew Israelite GMS tell their men, that listen to your wife's dreams, never ignore them, because your wife's dreams are real. They actually teach that in one of the most misogynistic groups, teach that the woman will give you the prophecy from her dream. So I just want to add that too.
So I wonder if this whole thing about like the woman not being able to speak in front of the thing was so that the woman could pass the information on to the male and give the power to the male to then speak, right?
Right.
So, and that's also, if you look on the actual pyramid walls, right? Wasn't it the mother who gave the power to Osiris I think the picture is like the mother with her hand on Osiris's back, like she's giving him the power, giving him the energy or whatever, standing him up.
Horus. The mother, Aset, which is, Aset, your daughter. She's the mother who basically, I think, I don't want to mess this up because we have other Kemetic experts, but she's the one who passes on the divinity to her son from the father. You know what I'm saying? Like the son becomes the father through the mother.
Exactly. So a lot of this stuff is like if people see it in real life, in real time, but they don't even understand what's even happening, right? So then you'll have people arguing, well, the woman is beneath the man. She's not even supposed to be speaking. Well, if you actually look at it from a different standpoint, I believe that and it might have been a protective thing. It might have been, we can't just say that it was always something negative. It might have been to protect that information, to put them away so they wouldn't be harmed or stolen or whatever by other forces or whatever, like if you have your oracles, like put them away, who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it could have been another thing, you know what I'm saying? But just for the sake of argument, it could have been for good reasons, it could have been for nefarious reasons, who knows? But let's get into it.
That they had indeed touched the divine world. The Sibyls produced the world's first oracles, which were spoken in ecstatic exclamations.
Because this level of release, supernatural strength.
Think of the word oracle as related to the word orator or oratory or oral, meaning spoken from the mouth. In the ancient world, there were many women oracles, prophetesses, who would speak and utter mysterious predictions to those who came to them asking for their help and guidance. In this fashion, many women not only found a place in society, but an elevated place in the religious consciousness of mankind. Deborah was one of the few female prophetesses mentioned in the Bible. Here is some information about her aspect as an actual Sibyl. Deborah performs her prophetic activities as a Sibyl under the palm of Deborah. There were other prophetesses implied and subtly mentioned in the Bible, such as prophetess Deborah, prophetess Miriam, and also the unnamed wife of prophet Isaiah. In Isaiah chapter 8, verse 3, Isaiah states, "And I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son." The funny thing about the name Isaiah is many people don't know that the true Hebrew pronunciation of Isaiah is Yeshayah or Yeshayahu. And another thing that people often tend to overlook about the name Isaiah or Yeshayah or Yeshayahu is that it means salvation or Yah's salvation. Now, another thing to note, going even deeper, is the prefix Yesha is feminine in origin.
All right. Any thoughts on that?
So far so good. I mean, this is talking about, yes, the name Yahweh or Yeshua means salvation. Actually, it means God saves.
So, but the root feminine, like she said? Yes.
I don't know. I can look it up real quickly. I don't know if it's feminine. The root saves. I'm looking it up right now.
The name Yesha is of Hebrew origin and is often used as a feminine given name. Yesha, the name Yesha.
Okay, let's see.
It's derived from the Hebrew root Yasha, which is also the root for
Isaiah.
Yeshua.
So let's see if it's a feminine root. Looking right now. Just a moment. Okay, let's see here. I want to show me.
Chapter 10.
Woe
to those who enact evil statutes and to those who constantly
Oh, that's me, huh? I was like, what are you doing?
So as to
I was like, what are you doing? That was me. Did you hear it?
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
That's crazy.
Well, FS Drathio says yes, it is. I'm not
Sure.
I'm
just double checking. I believe it, but you can keep going. I'm just gonna double check it because I didn't know that Isaiah was a feminine root. I didn't know that. So I'm looking at the word in the blue letter, and it says Yeshaya, Hebrews 3:470, and it says masculine. It says masculine. Let me screen share it. So that might be
derived from the Hebrew word Yasha, Y-A-S-H-A.
Maybe she's talking about a different word, but I just went to this one first. Okay, so we can see that's the word Isaiah, right? That's what she first started out with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a masculine.
And then I guess the Yesha is actually the pronunciation of it.
Where was I?
Like I said,
here, okay, let's see here. So can you hear it? Listen.
Strong's H 3470. Yeshayahu.
That's
Yeshayahu.
Yesha.
Entry. Yeshaya.
Yeah, that sounds like the word she's talking about. But it is a masculine word. But let's see. It's just basically his name. I don't see where it says. I do know Yahawashai, which is probably Yeshua. Let's look at Joshua real quick, okay? Because why did she use a name? Why did she use Isaiah? Did she say?
Because she talked about, she said in Isaiah 8:3.
Okay, I'm just because I know the name Joshua is the same as Yahawashai, so that's why I said we could look at Joshua. She's talking about
Isaiah 8:3. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right, I'll look in that. This is also masculine. Okay, so
Strong's H 3091. Yehoshua.
Okay, 8.
Second entry.
All right, so what? 8 and 3. Okay, yeah, it says.
Yeah.
I approached the prophetess. And she conceived. I gave birth to a son. Then the Lord said to me, name him Maher Shalal Hashbaz. There's
It
no,
said, I gave birth to a son.
yeah, it says,
I, not she.
so I approached the prophetess and she conceived, and gave birth to a son. My
Okay, I
bad.
was gonna say what? Okay,
Then the
what?
Lord, then the Lord said to me, name him Mahar Shalal Hashbaz, which there's no Isaiah on that. What's the other one?
So she's saying that the name Isaiah. So here, let's go.
Yeah, it's a masculine name. Maybe she's saying the word saves. Let me just look at it, okay? Right? Are you there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Let
I'm
me
here.
look at saves in Hebrew. Saves in Hebrew is let's see here. Today rejected your God who delivers you. I think that was the word, delivers. From, I thought we had saves on here.
So was the word save it? Was it another word for save, like delivers, or
Yeah, I think delivers might be the word.
maybe a feminine?
Is she saying that on her breakdown?
She's kind of going through it kind of fast, but let's see what she says. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, this is it. Delivers is Yasha. Okay, so this is Yasha, delivers or saves.
Strong's H3467. Yasher.
And
Yasher.
this is the primitive root. I think this is the word she's talking about. So who said it, F.S. Drathio, that this is the word?
She said it's feminine. That's all he did say is yes, it's feminine.
Okay, well, I see the part of speech. I don't see where it says it's feminine. I might be overlooking it, so.
Right, I don't know where. Okay, so we'll just, she has a link that she got it from, but I can't click to find out where she got that information.
Right, we'll just remember to just check on that, so you can keep going.
Okay.
Because she's saying Isaiah is the same, right? Okay, don't worry about it.
When you break down the Yesha part of the Yesha Yah, that Yesha is supposedly as often used as the feminine given name. The meaning of the name Yesha is salvation, to save or to rescue. In Hebrew, it's derived from the word Yasha, which is also the root.
It's Hebrew 3467. Let me just hold on.
So I'm not sure if she Yeshua
3467, a feminine. All right. Yes, it is. It is a word. It says it is. Yeah.
So it is a feminine. Okay.
It says it is feminine passive participle. H4637 means saved. Yasha. Okay. So it's a feminine singular, which is Yasha. To save, deliver, rescue. All right. So yeah, just double checking it. So yes.
Right. Okay. So it's interesting. Like this, she's an Ephah priest. It's interesting that I'm finding so much of a crossover between a lot of Ephah priests and like the Torah, like people that they know like I'm not sure if they all were Hebrew Israelites. Then they came into Ephah.
Is this still abundance show?
Say it again.
This is still abundance.
No, this is the lady with the you liked her hair.
Oh, their hair. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure. All right.
She's a Ephah. She's actually a priest of Oshu.
He's also an Ephah priestess.
Yeah. So it's like I said, just like Baba Yashabaya, like it's interesting how like they can for some reason they're able to break things. It's interesting.
Well, they know the Bible.
Like, yeah, it's like what? But I think it's also because there was because I think that when you go into certain aspects of Africa, you have Israelite, like a community of Israelites. So there's like a combination because some of them even in some of the Congo like when you go into Palo Mayombe, which is more a Congo based, kind of African traditional religion, they will say Assalamu alaikum.
Oh wow.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, it's interesting. Like it's like so there was I think that there's some kind of weird thing that's happening. I don't know. I gotta figure that out. It's meant to be studied.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
It's meant to be studied. So let's go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let me take my share down and you share yours. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could they hear it?
Are you playing it? No, I'm sorry. There you go.
They couldn't hear it. Oh, okay.
Go back. I'm sorry.
All right, so let's go back. Let's go.
And subtly mentioned in the Bible, such as prophetess Deborah, prophetess Miriam, and also the unnamed wife of prophet Isaiah. In Isaiah chapter 8, verse 3, Isaiah states, "And I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son." The funny thing about the name Isaiah is many people don't know that the true Hebrew pronunciation of Isaiah is Yeshayah or Yeshayahu. And another thing that people often tend to overlook about the name Isaiah or Yeshayah or Yeshayahu is that it means salvation or Yah's salvation. Now, another thing to note going even deeper is the prefix Yesha is feminine in origin. Also, Isaiah is the prophet in the Old Testament that implied the coming of a Christ. So with that being said, and Isaiah's book being a lot about salvation, Yeshayahu, salvation, could it be that Isaiah's wife is actually the one that prophesied the coming of Christ with the Sibyls foretelling the coming of Christ, as we will see in the upcoming receipts in just a minute. Now, I will also give a quick reference to Miriam, who was another prophetess in the Bible. Then Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and dancing.
I gotta get it out. I gotta
pray. She is tearing that cabaret up.
Let's take a look at this article from the late, great Mama Zogbe, known as Vivian Hunter Hendrew. And in the article, it asks the question, did Black women author the Bible? The article states, they were believed to have established the Vatican's holy seat and advised the world's leaders. In ancient times before Christ, it was the Sibyls that healed lepers and cast out demons. It was a Sibyl who called up the prophet Samuel. Their prophecies were used by the emerging Roman papals to create a Western theological foundation and became the undisputed precursor for the Christian Bible.
So what are your thoughts about that?
About this information about the Sibyl being the witch of Endor.
Did she say the witch of Endor? I think she was talking about the Catholic Church and how like they.
Well, when she said the Sibyl called up Samuel, I don't think that was an actual Sibyl, but it definitely was a woman who could see. So maybe she means that what she means by Sibyl. Then I guess it is a Sibyl. But yeah, about the church hiding taking from the Sibyls and then using the information. I've seen the writings about such things.
Well, so it's in the church, in ancient Rome, they first established the Holy Seat of the Vatican, advising the world's heads of state.
So to have established the Vatican's holy seat and advised the world's leaders. In ancient times before Christ,
they were Vestal virgins, but they still are the same type of women. In Rome, they were Vestal. They were called Vestal virgins, which are synonymous with sibyls and prophetesses. Is that what she's saying?
So I guess this was centuries before Christ. They said they cured epileptics, the blind, lepers, and cast out demons. It was a sibyl. It
The
was
Sibyls that healed lepers and cast out demons. It was a Sibyl who called up the prophet Samuel. Their prophecies were used by the emerging Roman papals to create a Western theological foundation and became the undisputed precursor for the Christian Bible.
So this was before the Bible.
Yeah. Yes.
They were considered to be pagans. They were not. Okay, interesting. They were pagans. Interesting.
Oh,
So
Romans were pagans. Yeah.
Romans were pagans?
Yeah, they had all the gods and the goddesses that they worship.
Okay. All right. Okay.
In the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 28, it was King Saul who actually improperly breached his covenant with the Almighty to seek the Sibyl to conjure up the old prophet Samuel in order to see what Samuel had to say to him. The woman was known as not as a Sibyl, but as the witch of Endor in modern Bibles.
Yeah,
In other articles by different writers, it states that Christian tradition took up the Sibyls, respected them, and indeed the work of God being established in and through them. References in the description box. Contrary to popular belief, not all Sibyls were so-called pagans or idolaters either. Many Sibyls were either henotheist or even monotheist to a certain degree. Not all of them were polytheist. The Sibyls and prophets foretelling Christ the Savior.
So before we go into that, let's go. Someone said the Vestal virgins were buried alive.
Jeez. It's terrible.
Wow. That's terrible. Jesus. Why?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I mean, just so far, what's your thoughts? Let me.
I think it's good that you're at least presenting this information, because a lot of people, obviously it's going to bother a lot of people, but that's why we have to make sure we fact check all the information. I think it's important to at least talk about it and see if it's true. I myself have done research on this, so I know that it's valid, but I'm just talking to the audience. It's something that it's information that has been fact checked, but you got to do your own research.
But what's interesting is when you talk to some of the, when you get to some of these Christian, they will be like, oh, or not Christians, but like the manosphere. They'll be like, why does women always try to act like they were above men and better than men? It's like, it's not a competition. It's not a competition. This is history. This is what happened.
Yeah, they don't like to hear the truth. That's why do your research. If you don't know for sure, she's giving you sources. You can always check them out.
So shout out, let's go. And how they were doing stuff. Let's go.
Let the Sibyl prophetess then be the first to sing to us the song of salvation. Indeed, Christians believed that they, the Sibyls, gave authentic prophecies, not only of the coming of Christ, but also of the end of the world. Their prophecies about the end of the world have been.
Let me go back, because she's skipping. Like, there's a lot that she's just in these slides that she's going. It's like she's going through. She's flying, ain't she? Hey. The Sibyls were not false prophetesses. Their words, or at least words believed to come from them, were often quoted by Christian apologists as they defended the Christian faith, such as can be seen in the way of St. Clement of Alexandria used their words in his exhortation to the heathen. Like, so you don't stop the slide. I mean, there's way more in these slides than what she's even saying. She's just kind of skimming through it, but that's interesting.
Not only of the coming of Christ, but also of the end of the world. Their prophecies about the end of the world have been preserved in holy tradition as they are remembered in the Dies Irae.
Have you heard of the Dies Irae?
The Dies Irae?
Yeah.
Where's that at? Let me read it. Where is she saying that? I don't think I'm familiar with that. No. What is it?
Called the Dies Irae.
Dies Irae. No, I'm not familiar with that. What did she say it is?
Hold on, here it is. They lived a life which separated them from the ordinary world, found themselves touched by the holy, and so through them, God was able to reach out and speak to the nations directing them to him, their prophecies about the end of the world have even been something remembered in the Dies Irae. Diesirae.
Let's see what that is. I know it looks like it means something about God. Dies Irae. It is. The poem described the last judgment, the trumpet summoning of souls before the throne of God, where the saved will be delivered and the unsaved cast into eternal, eternal damnation. The last judgment. Oh, it's Dies, the day of wrath.
So apparently they directed. I guess they had something to do with that. I'm not sure.
Really? Wow.
The Sibyls. I'm not sure if they wrote it or they,
It says Dies Irae is a Latin sequence attributed to either Thomas of Celano or of the Franciscans, or to Latino Malabranca Orsini, lector in Dominican Studium at Santa Sabini, the forerunner of the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas in Rome. Huh. So they're saying that women actually composed that.
Or like that they had something to do with it some way.
Interesting. Interesting.
Find what she said on that. Let me see.
You can hear me okay, right? I'm not breaking up?
No. So
okay.
The Sibyls were female seers from ancient times whose prophecies were thought to have foretold the coming of Christ. Many early Christian apologists and church fathers, including Augustine, quoted the Sibylline oracles, which many Christians came to believe were inspired by the Holy Spirit. Christians, however, interpreted some of the Sibylline oracles as divinely inspired prophecies of the coming of Jesus, especially the Sibylline prophecy of a future savior of Rome from Virgil's 4th Eclogue. The Vatican museums have multiple works of art featuring Sibyls, including the Room of Sibyls in the Borgia Apartments and the Sistine Chapel ceiling. This room of the Sibyls in the Apostolic Palace depicts 12 Sibyls or Old Testament prophets painted by Pinturicchio. The Sibyls are shown with scrolls representing the coming of the Christ. Even the Vatican Museum itself gives testament that the prophets and Sibyls are identified by a text in the label below them and are those who were the first to sense the coming of the Redeemer. Source listed above in the red circle.
All right, so how many people know that they were the first to predict the coming of Christ?
How many know that they were the first to, say it again?
Predict the coming of Christ.
Coming of Christ. I don't know. I don't think very many people know that. Again, Ed Dodge has mentioned this information in his book. I got to get the book for you. Remember you came in and talked to him?
Yeah.
But it's not popular and people don't like hearing it, so. But we got to keep on talking about it.
Let's go.
Christian Sibyls. Nascent Christianity could find no better aid for its apologetics than the Sibylline poems, and it is due to the fact that the utterances of the Jewish Sibyl have been preserved in considerable fragments, while the words of the pagan Sibyl have been almost entirely lost, although it must be admitted that the fragments of the latter, which have escaped destruction, are more pithy, poetic, and valuable than the Jewish portion. Christianity has not only preserved these poems, but has also added to them, so that the Sibylline utterances in their present form are a mixture of Jewish and Christian elements, imposing upon criticism of the task of separating them. Now let's talk a little bit about a popular Sibyl called the Erythraean Sibyl, which should really be called the Eritrean Sibyl. Mm-hmm. Remember that in those times, Eritrea and Ethiopia were one land, so it's really the Ethiopian Sibyl. The Erythraean or the Eritrean Sibyl is believed to have predicted the coming of Christ in an acrostic poem that spelled out Jesus Christ, God's Son, Savior, Cross. The Erythraean or Erythraean Sibyl is often depicted in Christian art, such as in Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel murals. But of course,
interesting,
right? Yes. Yep.
Her image has been lightened.
So this is the second Sibyl who predicted the coming of Christ. This isn't these are different prophetesses, different women prophets that predicted the coming of Christ before the Christian religion,
Right.
right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Heavily. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into this topic. I'm just going to present it as something that you can do your own research about. But there has been speculation that the actual book of Revelation was originally written by a Sibyl.
All right, so let's read what it says. The original book of Revelation was written around 500 BCE. It was part of a collection of prophecies written by a woman named Hieropyle.
Say her name louder.
Heropidile.
Let me see. Oh, I'm not looking. Where's the name at? Heropyle, right? Or herp. I can't see if that's a P.
Heropyle. Yeah, I think it's a P.
Or it might be Heropyle.
So she lived in a cave near the ancient town of Corme in Campania, Italy. She was known as the
Sibyl.
Arthica Sibyl, and the general populace considered her a slowly aging but immortal priestess. The remains of Cumae and the adjoining caves are 2 hours drive from Rome and open to tourists today. Heropyle, or whatever you say it, was one of several women who prophesied under the supposed inspiration of some deity and delivered her prophecies in a frenzied state. Right? She was considered the greatest seer of pagan antiquity. With discovery of the Vatican scrolls, it is possible to prove that Sibyl influence reached deeply into the Christian book called the New Testament. For one of these books was written by her and later became the book of Revelation.
Interesting. Amazing, right?
How many people know that?
I doubt it. Definitely not over in this community.
Right. So I don't know. So how did she get left out? Like how did, the revelation of John, how did it become the revelation of John? And then this existed prior to.
Right.
I mean, some of these people's names made up.
You think we could read the original?
I don't know. Look it up. It's they have the name. Look up. It's possible.
Well, it says.
Look up Heropyle. Maybe it's more information on that.
Yeah, it was the Sibyls who foretold.
I think that's a really interesting thing. If she wrote Revelations, wow. So then that means that. So who is John? Didn't John write Revelation?
That's what it said.
I mean, were some of these books written by women, and then they switched up the?
That sounds about right. And her name is Heropyle.
That's how you say it? Okay.
Heropile.
Yeah.
Heropyle. Oh no, it's Herophile. Why does it have a B there?
I don't know. Maybe it was a misspelling.
She's the Sibyl said to have prophesied the coming of the Redeemer. Huh. Herophile? Keep on going with that. I don't see much about her. In fact, I don't even know if this is
the Herophile of Erythrea.
Oh, she's Erythrean?
Yeah.
She's the Erythrean Sibyl. She's believed to have made extremely precise statements regarding the coming of Christ. Interesting stuff, y'all. Okay, so
they say that she's the daughter of Zeus.
Oh, who said that?
There's some kind of thing. I don't know that she foretold in her oracle.
Here, it says here, presumably there was more than one Sibyl at Erythrea. One is recorded as having been named Herophile, At least one is said to have been from Chaldea, a nation in the southern portion of Babylonia, being the daughter of Berosus, who wrote the
Okay.
Chaldean history of Erymanthe. Apollodorus of Erythrea, however, says that one who was his own countrywoman predicted the Trojan War and prophesied to the Greeks both that Troy would be destroyed and that Homer would write falsehoods. So this was very common back then. They would consult Sibyls, they'd consult these these oracles. So I could see that to be true. It was a common thing to do, consult the oracles.
Mm.
Her name was Hierophile. Wild, right?
Yeah, that's crazy, right? When you think about it, right? So,
Mm.
So on
Very
this part, I'm
interesting.
going to provide you some evidence from some articles and some research, and you can do your own research about this particular matter because I'm actually not too well versed on the Revelation part of what we're discussing. The original book of Revelation. The original book of Revelation was written around 500 BCE. It was part of a collection of prophecies written by a woman named Hierophile and lived in a cave near the ancient town of Cumae in Campania, Italy. She was known as the Cumaean Sibyl, and the general populace considered her a slowly aging but immortal priestess. But remains of the Cumae and the adjoining caves are 2 hours' drive from Rome and are open to tourists today. Hierophile was one of several women who prophesied under the supposed inspiration of some deity and delivered her prophecies in a frenzied state.
now I'll say this: is that didn't they just try to make them out to be like these witches that were? Okay, charge it up.
Can you hear
Why they
me?
trying to make them seem like they were just like these witches that were in these movies that ate them? The witches that was in the movies that was doing it, blah, blah,
Oh
blah,
yeah,
they were
always.
witches. They make them out to be witches, right?
Yeah, they're always doing that.
But people, I mean, these people were revered. So I'm trying to understand, like, were these people revered or were they?
They were at first revered early on, but at this point, what we're talking about, this era, they were exploited, meaning they were oppressed and really held back. They were isolated from the general public, and they were kept away from everyone. And only the men that were like the leaders of the church had access to them and would consult them and then bring the information to the people. So before that, though, when you go back, before, what is this, 500 BC?
Yeah, BCE.
Yeah, yeah, BCE. So before that, before this, if you go back about, 1,000 years before this, or maybe even 500 years, they had more power. You understand? Like they could
So
move
they had to
around.
like run to the caves or whatever. They got so.
Yeah, they
Or
were
did they tell them to go in the cave to protect them, and or were they hidden off so that only certain people knew who they were to even be able to go to get them?
They told them that it was protection, and it may well have been a protection at first, but then after a while, they were restricted from what they could do. They kept them away from people. They locked them away, and they would only have access to them. So they really had a miserable existence. They were prisoners. And this is something that is documented. They were held away from everyone. They, especially when you talk about the actual these prophets called the Sibyls and the Vestal Virgins, they didn't have lives. They just were kept in these temples or caves or whatever you want to say, and they didn't have any access to anybody. So that's how they got their information and named it, put other people's names on it,
It's crazy. So
Yeah.
Drathio says, why was she in a cave? And then he says, where
Can
do
we-
dragons hide? In a cave? Like, he said they were
Yeah.
seers. Dragons in Greek means to see.
Well, caves were very sacred places, like grottos, caves. that's where a lot of spiritual like spirits were how do you say, people could connect with spirits. They believed that, and even now, that God is in the mountain, you know, like spirits are within the mountain, and the mountain is very majestic.
Yeah.
So
That
even
still
with,
exists today in Amazon and the shamanism and the Incan Maya, the Incan shamanism. You have to go to the top of like, well, that whole civilization is at the top of the mountain, you know, like certain. But if you want to become a shaman, you have to go even higher up on that mountain to get that shamanhood to like to yeah. So that's interesting.
oh yeah, that's cool. Because when you think about it, all civilizations, the mountain is holy across the board, right?
Yeah,
They're seen as God in the mountain. So that's why caves are usually obviously in the mountain, in the mountainside. And when you see him talk about dragons, that's interesting because that's also where dragons lived. They lived in the mountain, in deep in the mountain, which would be a cave. You know,
right. And then that goes into that serpent type of thing too, right?
there you go. I was just gonna say it goes to even in the Bible, the Most High is compared to a dragon. It says that his snout, it has smoke coming out of it in the Bible, in the
You know
Old
what? In
Testament.
Ifa, you know that Oludumare, the god of the Ifa, is the rainbow serpent.
See, the serpent and the rainbow. Yeah, the rainbow serpent. So
Yeah.
these that's why I'm saying, like, when did the serpent become evil? With modern interpretations, or should I say misinterpretations, where I believe it was hidden on purpose by, like during the time of King James, like even before King James, like the 15th century and then the 16th century, 14th to 16th century, they started to tell lies about the scripture, completely tell lies and say, oh, this is evil. When, and the scripture says they will call good evil and evil good. Yeah, like
Okay.
Moses. Moses went to the mountain. Thank you, Benita. Moses, even, remember in the scripture, he goes up to Sarabit al-Kadim. He goes into the mountain to meet God. So does Christ. Christ goes up to the mountain during the transfiguration, and he's changed in front of the two of his or Peter and I think John, and then Peter's like, Lord, let us make an altar for you. And then God speaks and says, this is my beloved son with whom I am well pleased. So even then, you see God in the mountain. So getting back to the cave thing, they knew these were sacred women. They wanted them to be, they needed the information from them. And so they put them in places that they thought they would have the most access to God. Not to mention Allah. Remember with Muhammad, where did he meet Gabriel, the angel Gabriel? In a cave, in a grotto, right? In a cave. So it's across the board.
I'm sorry, I said the wrong word. It's Osumare. It is the rainbow serpent. Yeah. There's
Okay.
meant to be like a snake that is up in the sky. It goes between earth and heaven. It's like between earth. But yeah, interesting.
Very interesting. So the cave is a sacred place. Before even it says Christ was born. When you hear manger, that's not manger, that's grotto. Like Christ is supposed to be born in a cave in the original text. He was supposedly born in a cave. What else?
And you know what? Also, we also gotta think caves are not what we think it is. There's some beautiful caves out there. I mean, in China, I mean, because when I think of a cave, you think like when they show it in the movie, it looks like this, like a bear, where a bear would like hibernate at. But there's caves that are like that have beaches on them and everything.
Oh, there's beautiful caves. Yeah. I think
Right.
of
So
yeah, it's different. Listen, all this, because we got to stop talking about, oh, they lived in the caves. Everybody in ancient times, when there weren't houses, found shelter in the mountain. And then that's where they started to see things, and, spiritual miracles took place. And that's when they're like, oh, this is a sacred place, So
Exactly.
anyway, that's interesting.
So yeah, your book of Revelations might have been written by a Sibyl.
She was considered the greatest seer. And with the discovery of the Vatican scrolls, it is possible to prove that the Sibyl influence reached deeply into the Christian book called the New Testament. One of those books was written by her and later became the Book of Revelation. In a different article, it states, is the Bible's Book of Revelation a plagiarism of the Sibylline oracles written in 510 BC? The Sibylline Revelation.
All right. Have we heard of the Sibylline Revelation?
We just heard about it.
Right. But
they revealed the coming of the Christ.
So that's what it's called, the Sibylline Revelation?
Yes. They were talking about a Christ coming, and they also, right here it says, the Erythraean Sibyl was the prophetess of classical antiquity, presiding over the Apollonian oracle at Erythrea, a town in Ionia opposite Chios, or Chios, I should say, Chios. And so, yeah, they were the ones that talked about a coming Messiah who would be crucified, and
wow.
Some of them talked about him wearing a crown of thorns.
What?
Yeah. They were very spot on. These were the women, even in the Bible, when you read about these women, the witch of Endor who contacted Samuel, then you read about the prophetess Huldah. You read about these women who could see what was coming, and they were consulted, they had access to information, and I'm sure some of them taught men how to do it, because that's how men learned how to do it. A lot of the men, but it was
they taught them. I think, well, they did teach them. See, so that's why I brought the African version of what happened, right? So imagine they had this power, and they said, listen, we need to know how they're doing this.
Yeah.
And so the younger Sibyls that were growing up, probably, got married or whatever,
and showed the
older Sibyls to tell how they did it. And the moment they told it, it was over.
Bingo. That was the end, because the strength, that is true. And once they gave them the secrets, why do you think that King James and all of these people before King James put in the Bible, I suffer not a witch to live, kill all witches? Because they knew that these women had powers. And when they tortured these women in witch hunts, and even before, they tortured them for information on how they had this power. It wasn't just, admit that you're a witch. Like we see on the surface, when they talk about witch hunts, they're like, admit you're a witch. No, they were asking them, how do you do this? Who did you contact? And that is the worst of all. King James, he was a disgusting, murderous, misogynist. And
that book of demonology was about him.
I was just going to say that. What? He got that from torturing women, that information.
Holy
That's where he got how he wrote demonology. Not just that one, even the Malleus Maleficarum, the witch's hammer. They tortured women to give them the secrets of the craft, and then they would put them to death. And that's fact.
JPO says, remember, kings always wanted to kill the dragon that was in the cave. So was the oracle, the Sibylline oracle, the dragon?
Yes, that's the code for the divine. I'm not even going to just say she was the dragon. She had access to what we represent as the God. Remember I said the serpent led them to the truth. The dragon is a representation of the truth that is brought to you, the majestic truth. Get it? That's why the dragon, what does the dragon guard? The dragon guards the treasure. It's not just monetary like jewels and precious metals. It is that secret, arcane, hidden craft, how to contact, how to see beyond this realm, beyond the veil. And that is, so then what did they do? They call women witches. They say women are evil because they deal with wicked spirits. But all along, they want to know how to do it. And they found out, a lot of them, through, and it cost many women their lives and men. So it wasn't, I want to say this, like how we said, there were good men, obviously. When you say husbands, there were husbands who knew their wives had gifts, and they really cherished their wives, obviously, but they died too. They died right along with their wives. You there?
So this to me actually would also explain why they make it like, oh, witchcraft, all these things that are illegal to do, right? No, you can't do not witchcraft, sorcery, right?
Sorcery, yeah. Astrology. Let me tell you something. In First Samuel, I think it's First Samuel. It's the one of the First or Second Samuel. It's when Solomon goes to the witch of Endor. I should get the scripture and read it, but I'll just tell you the paraphrase of it. So he's desperate to know if he's going to die in battle the next day. He and his son, right? And he's just losing his mind over it. So he goes to the Sibyl, I'm doing air quotes, the prophetess, she was called the witch of Endor in the Bible. So he goes to her and he says, tell me, call up the spirit of Samuel. I want to know what's going to happen. And then she says, no, this is where I wanted you to hear. She says, no, I can't do that, because you know that the king has put out an edict that anyone prophesying or reading the future or contacting spirits will be put to death. And this is the king, but she doesn't know it because he's in disguise. He goes, no, you won't be put to death. Just go ahead and do it for me. So she does it. So what am I saying? Here we are in the Bible where another king, besides I believe it was Josiah. You can correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But Josiah says, let's go consult Huldah, the prophetess, when we need to know what God's saying to us about our judgment and what's going to happen to our people. And then in this part of the Bible, we see King Saul consulting the witch of Endor, the prophetess. They call her a witch in the Bible, So she says, no, we can't do it. I get back to what you said, the prohibition. She said, oh, we're going to be put to death if we do that. So you get it? Like, why? And in the book, I want to say this. They say, oh, they're so evil. God's going to, all these witches. That was written in there for hatred of women because of the resentment of their power. And what was said in that book, it said after she told him that he was going to die with Jonathan, he was white as a ghost and he was sick or whatever. And she felt so sad for him. What I'm trying to show you is the love and compassion and the charity that this woman had. She felt so bad for him. She went and slaughtered a goat or a lamb, I think, and fed and made food for him because she knew he was going to die the next day. She was poor. Think about it. You're
Wow.
slaughtering your goat for your animal for the king
to eat, right?
To eat him, to give him his last meal. And also there's some also esoteric to that. She did a, like a blood sacrifice, kind of like to either seal it or to let Samuel go back to rest, because Samuel was like, why do you disturb my slumber? So there's also some hidden symbolism in there where she does slaughter the animal, but she does show kindness to him. But we're told that they're evil you know, evil women who trying to cast spells and, you know, it's
Right,
funny.
but the king was going to the. So here's the thing. So we're seeing here kings went to these people to get. Now, when did the prohibition of where it says you can't perform these things, did that come prior to him going to the oracle?
He was prohibiting in the story. Now, whoever the authors were, I don't know if it was Deuteronomistic, meaning these certain people after the captivity, Babylonian captivity, we had authors that were called Deuteronomists, and they made a lot of stuff like, oh, this is evil. This is why we're suffering because we were doing this stuff. So I got to check and see if Samuel, 1st and 2nd Samuel, are Deuteronomistic authors. But anyway, I digress. The answer is that king in that story, which was Saul, prohibited people being oracles, right? But then when he needed it, he said, oh, no, it's okay if you do it. Get it? So when he needed to find out something, all of a sudden it wasn't wrong. That shows you that it wasn't God saying this is evil. It was man controlling that power through what? Through strength and brawn. And this is why the men have taken over all of the spiritual systems, because they are stronger and they are the ones who are the government and leading, you know, they know how to make the weapons of violence. They know how to use the weapons of violence, where the women were the spiritual ones using their minds. You understand? Like, even if you hear the word read, to read is something, it's like in the craft. It's not only actually looking at words and enunciating them, you know, or sound, you know, pronunciating the pronunciation of it. It's like reading was a way of working the spiritual craft. Writing is a spiritual it's a spiritual action. Get what I'm saying? So women were the readers and the writers and the spelling, and the men were,
Wow.
yeah, the men were the ones that had the brawn and the strength and they could fight, but women did the spelling and the writing and the reading. That's what, you know, that's what it comes from. And why that's why women were the, you know, who's the teachers? They say, oh, well, the men were the professors. No, women were the first teachers and the first doctors, because they knew how to do the spells. They knew how to make the medicines, which are no pharmacopoeia, is that you even hear people say that goes back to the word witchcraft. People will say stuff like that.
When they show that serpent type of thing. Yep. Interesting.
And the serpent, but when you say that, you made me think of, that was the first healing, the staff with the serpent wrapped around it.
Caduceus, right? Is it called?
The caduceus, right? That was you know, Moses in the desert lifting up the serpent to heal the people from death, from being bitten by the fiery serpents, which is also it's also arcane for certain spiritual attacks, but I digress. And then Christ says in the New Testament, Genesis, Christ says, just as the serpent was lifted up in the desert with Moses to heal the people, so shall the Son of Man, he's talking about himself, so shall the Son of Man be lifted up on the staff. You get that?
Wow.
Because Jesus is the serpent in the garden.
Right. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't like
that. See, listen, I'm so happy that we do this, because if he wants to debate you on this, I can't wait till you break that down. Now that we even can like break this whole thing down with, okay, come on now. What?
Right, this is great.
Listen, so someone told me to show Strong's Concordance. I'm not sure what. Okay, so H190 is oh yeah, which is interesting. That's my
H6190.
Was it 6190?
FS Drathio H6 Hebrews 6190. Yes.
6190.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what? Okay, hold on. HS. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, I appreciate your participation, FS, and peace to you. Appreciate everybody's participation, Benita and FS. What do we got there?
Orla.
Orla.
Word origin, feminine, H1.
The preface. Huh.
Foreskin plus uncircumcised.
This is what does this have to do? What is
uncircumcised foreskin
So-
is a feminine thing or something?
No, this isn't feminine, but what did you mean by, I want to see what he was getting at with that, where it's going. Or like Orla, I'm trying to, are you saying that it has something to do with, what is it? It's feminine? Oh, okay, I get you. So what was it? What is it that you're correlating it with?
That the uncircumcised penis is feminine? Like
The foreskin is a preface, right? King David was, oh, I got you. I remember now, FS. When he went and got all those foreskins, right? That was like some kind of esoteric spell or something.
ritual or something.
Remember when he had to bring back all those Philistine foreskins?
Wow.
Philistinian. Let me see. How many foreskins did he have to get?
The preface.
Foreskin. David. He had to bring them, and he had to bring them so he could win the woman as his wife.
Wow.
That's
so
crazy,
that's a
right?
spell. He was doing spell work.
200 Philistines. Yeah, and that was the bride price. Wow. It says King Saul originally demanded 100 in an attempt to get David killed in battle, but David went above and beyond, and he doubled it. This is wild.
It was women's mutilation. He said it was women's mutilation.
It was men, though. But I'll say this. There's something going on with that, because I was always like, why would he have to bring back foreskins?
But it sounds like it was feminine. Well, maybe I don't know if he's saying it was woman, because if it's a female, a feminine, the foreskin uncircumcised, is that a female like vaginal mutilation?
No, I mean it could be a feminine word and still be.
Let me see.
Male member, you know. So why 200 Philistine foreskins? People always trying to figure out why. It was David played along. It just doesn't make sense that he had to bring, but on the surface you hear, oh, because it was showing that he went into battle. But why does he have to bring back their foreskin? Why couldn't he bring back their heads or their, you know what I mean? Their arms? Why their foreskins? Because in battle they did bring back the hand often. If you look at like outside of the Bible, like warriors would bring back a body part of the people that they slaughtered to show that they slaughtered them. But their foreskins? Yeesh.
FS, can you come up to explain what you mean by this? Because I'm trying to figure out, are you trying to say that he was performing feminine genital mutilation in this situation?
No, he wasn't, though. These were male members.
Okay. Yeah, but that's still spell work. Like that's spell work right there. That's like doing like what you would call so-called witchcraft.
I mean, it was men because he went to battle. I mean, it could be women, but it's men because it says he went back and he brought back the men. He killed the men.
Oh, okay. So I guess he was probably taking it. There was probably some kind of FGA going on. Okay.
Yeah, but I wonder what FS was getting at.
I think that's what he was thinking it was. That it was.
But it was a ritual. It was like a type of ritual.
Interesting. Crazy. Let's go.
He said yes, Genesis.
Right. So he feel he thought it was like that was like some FGA,
Huh.
but or M.
Oh yeah, that's right, Immortal. See, if he was under the king of Egypt, he would be. It would be payment showing you killed men. Yep, that's something that have read. But not the foreskin. I've read like hands and stuff, you know, but not that part.
Man, that's crazy. Let's go.
The original author of the book of Revelation, the Cumaean Sibyl, though, was always highly regarded as a clairvoyant by the Roman Catholic Church. Even today, she can still be seen magnificently portrayed by Michelangelo in a prime central position among the great patriarchs of the Bible stories depicted on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican itself. A total of 278 verses of the Sibyl's predictions are also found in the book of Exodus, Psalms, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, and Zechariah, indicating the high value placed on her forecast by Old Testament authors. The Sibylline books were lost to history for many centuries until the second book was discovered in the Vatican archives some decades ago by Edmund Zekeli. This photo here is not a Photoshop. This is actually a photo from 1641 by an artist by the name of George Jameson, which was later revamped and lightened in color by a later artist that refurbished the artwork. In 1641, 12
Boom. So this is the original. This is the lighting bro. That's crazy.
They did a lot of iconoclasm, changing the colors of original figures. You know what else? I don't want to get off the subject too far, and I'm not promoting at all. In fact, I'm against people trying to just do certain things for fun, like Ouija boards and tarot cards. But you know, a woman helped create tarot cards, the ones that you see now, and she did it with. I'm not saying that she started tarot cards. Women were playing a card game in France. That's where tarot cards originated, and they tried to say, "Oh, it came from Kemet," but it didn't.
I heard it came from Hebrew. So I heard tarot was actually part of the Kabbalah.
No, well, no, it was a game. It was just a regular game that women played. But what I think it was a game that women played, meaning that they were doing predictions. And some guy saw them playing the game. And then he said, oh, this came from Egypt. But he just made that up in France, right? But what I'm getting at is the way it's been perfected and the way the decks are made. This picture here made me think of the actual woman. She's a Black woman who actually refined the cards. You know how you have the Watcher, the Hangman, the cups, and those are the playing cards today, like the club, the diamonds. They originate the regular playing cards that you see in casinos and stuff. Those originated from her creation of the tarot cards. She drew them and everything. I got to get her name, okay? That's just something I thought of. I mean, that's kind of off topic, but somebody came in, right?
Huh?
I thought I saw somebody come in.
I put the link in the chat for him to come up and speak, but
I thought I saw somebody back.
Make them at least, because I don't want no one to come up with some
Oh, I think I know this girl. Wait, is she still back there? Oh yeah, I know her. She's a young lady that gets on sometimes, but she left. Anyway, so what were you? Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I think it's crazy how they did that. That's like, wow, like they changed the actual color. So they was having like racism going on back then. Like they had to change the color of the person.
Well, yeah, I guess they did. So here it is. Her name is Pamela Coleman Smith. She created the first fully illustrated tarot deck, including all major and minor arcana. In 1909, at the behest of Arthur Edward Waite. The deck was published that same year by William Ryder and Son. That's why you see today you can get the Ryder decks. You know, where you see the bicycle, the Ryder decks, the carts. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
The actual 50, you know, the 52 carts.
Yes.
She was, so a black woman is the one who did that.
Wow.
Who created the first fully illustrated tarot deck. I thought of that because you showed me that picture of that lady and how they changed her. Because
Right.
that happened with the tarot card. Basically, she made playing cards, but they were the first tarot cards.
Mm.
So
So just
when
like
you play,
Ouija was promoted as a game at first until people started to
exactly, by what were they called? Brothers, something brothers. It was something. But Ouija boards were around before they made it a game.
Mm. Wow.
Do not play Ouija boards, y'all.
Yeah, don't do it. No.
You don't want to mess your life up. This
Right.
one girl was messing. Remember that little girl, that teenager, that it was a trend talking about calling on Baba Legba?
Yeah.
And those teenagers were ending up just unalived.
Yep.
You don't mess around
Yeah,
with that,
you don't fool around with stuff you don't know how to do. This stuff is usually done by initiated priests. So,
Paintings representing the Sibyls were gifted to King's College by Principal William Guild. A receipt found in the archives implied the identity of the original artist to be George Jameson, but affirmed that during the 18th century, the works had been restored and repainted by Cosmo Alexander. There were many other depictions of the Sibyls, especially in medieval times, that had them looking more mulatto, where you could still see the Africoid phenotype on the depictions and even braided hairstyles. But as time went on, the pictures of the Sibyls got whiter and whiter, of course. Many say that the race and the ethnicity of the Sibyls don't matter. And anyway, what would the Sibyls have to do with any of us over here? Well, I'm about to show you. Let's put this in proper context.
now she about to break it down. She fixing to break it all the way down. Watch this. She about to break it down where they came. Watch this. Hold on, because I think that all right. I heard like some background because I got people. This was from my channel, so like we were talking about it.
Is my background too loud?
No, it's not. I don't hear your background at all.
Okay.
All right. So you have any thoughts? Or you want to play some more or what?
No, play. Let's hear what she says about the
playing
background.
this.
All right.
This
Let's
is
go.
new.
I don't think that people are realizing the geography and just how close that Greece, Rome, and all of those different Mediterranean countries are to North Africa and even going down into sub-Saharan Africa, because in ancient times and even in the 80s, there was no such thing as sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa. And all of those people were people of color at that time, and they were easily going back and forth. So let's put this in proper context. Some of these places are closer than Miami is to Cuba. Some of these places are as close as Houston is to New Orleans. Some of these places are not as far as Los Angeles is to Arizona. So let's put this in proper context. It was not difficult for people to travel and get on their boats and their camels and travel back and forth. The Sibyls were a big part of the Kushite Ethiopian Empire, so-called North Africa, which is an erroneous term, and also Greek and Roman culture. They lived there because Africans went back and forth to the Mediterranean because it was so close. But let's also talk about the Roman persecution to where people of color were fleeing. They were going back down into Africa, all the way down through Egypt, through Nubia, through Sudan, and then they hit a westward move and started moving towards Chad and eventually Nigeria, on into West Africa. And that's how a lot of them and their customs ended up in the west part of the continent of Africa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So there you go. There's the map. That's how these things, these concepts even made it into the United States. And that's where you get Ifa. You have the Cuban, Santeria. You have Condoble. You have what's it called?
Obeah.
21 divisions. Obeah. All of those different variations. And then Isheshe. All those things that they brought it migrated up and down, over into, and then out. So that's the map right there.
Then later on, you have the slave trade. So these people moved all the way from the northern areas, fleeing Roman persecution, coming down into the continent of Africa and going westward into West Africa, eventually being caught up in the slave trade. But also keep in mind, too, even before the slave trade, these people of color were traveling to the Americas even before Columbus. They made it here and were already here establishing their customs in the West. And that is how they made it to the West. And remember, this is over a 1,000-year time period. So imagine the migrations that are possible within 1,000 years to places that are that close to one another, as far as Europe, the Mediterranean, and Africa. It's not very difficult to conceive if you really think about it logically. Now, since this video is about the Bible, I will discuss an old urban legend about William Shakespeare helping to edit the Bible along with King James. But that could be just pure speculation. I'm not saying that that part is fact. But I'm only bringing this up because there is a fact about one thing, is that Shakespeare lived with a woman by the name of Amelia Bassano, a Black Jewish woman from Venice, Italy, or what you would call a Moorish woman at that time. And she wrote many of the plays and the artistry work done by Shakespeare. And that has been proven. Check it out.
Pause it for a second. We don't want to skim over the fact that they called her a Black Jewish woman. From, I believe, southern Italy.
Yes.
This is where you will hear a lot of people say, oh, that's because they were converts. No, they were Black Jews, Black Hebrews who came from northern Africa or parts of Africa, and they migrated into, what am I trying to say? Southern Italy. And they were called Moors or Morays. So just want to throw that out there. She's even telling the truth about there were Black Jews in Europe, especially in Italy and Spain. They were Black Jews that were driven out by Isabella and King Ferdinand. I just want to throw that out there, okay? Thank you. You can continue.
Plays of William Shakespeare were actually written by a Black Jewish woman called Amelia Bassano Lanier. This is a very revolutionary theory, but it's beginning to make sense. She was, after all, England's first published woman poet.
Oh, you got to pause it for me again. Hold on. I love this information so much. Because what we're doing is putting a chocolate icing onto this whole story of how women have had things taken away from them, oracles. And I would be remiss if I didn't. I brought up the lady that did the tarot cards. And by the way, the white man was a Caucasian European man. When I talk about the writer and the tarot deck and all that. And then we go to the modern day. My friend, the oracle, Sophia Stewart, another oracle. And what did they do? They stole the Matrix and the Terminator. All of that series, they stole it from her. Those brothers who are now two transsexual women, they stole. And I think one committed suicide.
They're transgender women. What?
Yeah, they both turned into transgender women, but they're not cute transgender women. They're like the ones that look like men still,
Wow.
That look like Caitlyn Jenner. But they stole her story and took it out there, and she sued them and she won. But, she has to, there's a, what's it called? Not an NDA, but she can't come out. Huh?
They gave her a clause and
something about how they don't. It's not on record. So people try to say, "Oh, she didn't win money. She won millions of dollars from them." But they are making billions of dollars on that franchise, on those series. But I just want to point out yet another oracle of a melaninated woman of descent, of African descent, meaning, you understand? She has that gift that is there, the gift as a Sibyl, the gift as an oracle. And she also had her prophecies stolen from her. I just want to say that. Go
Yes,
ahead. Thank you for letting me
exactly.
point that out.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's crazy when you think about it. And then what does she have in the Matrix? The Oracle
Yep.
that actually gave the power to Neo. So
Yep.
so it's crazy. And what
Isn't
color
that
was the
amazing?
Oracle? What
The
color was the
Oracle was a
Oracle giving
black
the power
woman.
to
She's the
Neo?
Oracle. So I got to introduce you to Sophia. Sophia is the Oracle. Let me tell you real quickly. I got to get this out. Listen, this woman has told me so many things that I've been like, you are the truth. I introduced her to my friend, Esoteric Thoughts, rest in peace and power. The week before he passed away, I'm getting goosebumps. She told him, you're in danger. Your life is in danger. I see you in grave danger. You have to try to protect your life. I see death coming for you. I think it was in less than a week my friend passed away. Less than a week. And he knew he was in danger, not to get too deep, but he was like, technically it was because of, he had heart failure, but some people were threatening his life. They were threatening him through the, what's that church? I think it's 7-Day Adventist. Anyway, not to get too deep on that side, but she told him, I see death coming. You're in grave danger. Less than a week. Within a week, my friend was gone. It was so she is a real, and that's not the only time she said anything to that I knew. I was like, damn, you are 100. Whenever she tells me something, I listen. I'm like, okay. She told me, I need you to pray this. I need you to pray that. I need you to keep yourself protected, and I did it, and things went well for me. So I just want to put that out there. I'll introduce you to her. We'll bring her in. I really love her, but she is an oracle that had her information once again stolen from some men came in and took it and used it and tried to lie and say it was theirs. So yeah, crazy.
But you know what's so crazy? Like, it's interesting. Like I said, like she, of course, I'm sure that she, look at how many things that are in that particular series that are coming true now.
Everything. Oh my gosh, I'm getting
People
emotional.
are just now saying that that we're in like a matrix. We're in like that we're in a holographic universe and all this different stuff. You know?
She predicted AI. Look at what she said. Look what she showed. In the Matrix, it was the meta, that meta world, like people just plugged in. She predicted it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's her. That's my
I want to
love.
give a shout out to Miss Sophia Stewart. We gotta
Yes,
give
you're
her
gonna love her.
flowers.
She's an oracle. She is the truth. She tells the truth. She even says that David in the Bible. I love being a woman because we can see things if we look closely at it. Men, you can do it too, but I'm not going to take away from us. We really can look. That's why people said, let me ask I want to ask my wife about this, or let me have my daughter look at this. It's certain things that women can see. And she said David in the Bible was using bullets, and people think, oh, that's silly. But that makes sense. I'll never forget when she said that, because what is a bullet besides just a projectile, like a stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Propelled with great force.
Right.
And that's what he was using in a lot of his battles. And I just threw that out there. That's just one thing that stuck with me about her. But she's just great. I love her, and she's had her information. They have taken her as the oracle. That's her, beautiful Sophia. And they we got to bring her on. She's due. We got to bring her.
Yeah, we have to give her her props, her flowers, everything.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Like I said, listen, they have to tell you what they're doing. So that's pretty much what they were doing in the Matrix. They showed a woman smoking a cigarette as the oracle, an older lady, older black lady. Of course, they had to make her light skinned, but hell, what they should have did.
But she was the one that had she was, she was also, she wasn't just the oracle giving the truth. She was the the mother, like the guardian of all this, the ones who were special and enlightened and knew the truth. They came through her. She would show up even in the matrix. She could transcend all different realms. You get it?
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
So,
And that's
so
the
like I
Holy,
said,
that's the Holy Spirit, by the way.
well, like I say, right?
I was
'cause they
talking
don't
about
want
the
to
Holy
they
Spirit
don't want to talk
earlier.
about the Holy Spirit being a woman. They want to make it seem like that it's all three men, you know, three male entities and gender.
Yeah, I talked about that earlier. And that's why we can, you know, I'm not saying men cannot connect with the Spirit, but the Holy Spirit is the feminine aspect of God. And then they don't like to hear you say the Shekinah. Everything that is feminine or rooted in the Holy Spirit and the mother, they say, oh, that's evil. That's witchcraft. God said that's wrong. Where did God say it's wrong? You mean some person who came in and tried to lie to you and tell you that there's just a bunch of males in the Trinity? God has no feminine aspect, yet God creates. Women come out of the, or I shouldn't say come out of, feminine is within the consciousness and the universal mind of God, right, Genesis?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And you know, it's gotten so bad with this, and I don't want to bring up the manosphere again, but I'm just gonna like just make it completely known.
you can bring it up
got
as
so
much as you like. Just don't say any of their names, because then
No,
they're
it
like
got so
zombies.
bad. It got so bad that this one person that I was talking to, when we said that you know that the X the Y, well, X and Y, they were saying no, that the female comes from that because the man has both X and Y, that the woman comes from the male. And I'm like, well, how? Show me how that's even possible, unless you have to, like, how did, I mean, do you say hocus pocus and then a woman appears? Like, how does a female come from a man? I mean, it is like there's men don't have any kind of reproductive organs to be able to bring forth anything except for that they plant the seed to. But how, if all life came from a man, then how is that possible?
Well, we know that in ancient, I'm talking about biology now. Before there was an XY, everyone had what we can call XX. It was something similar. It wasn't specifically XX, but they were the prototype to XX chromosomes. Males had the XX and females had the XX. The in the evolution of our species, males, the second X started to degenerate. Okay. And when the second X started to degenerate, then we had the Y, and it's still degenerating to this day. Did you know that?
Yeah,
The
they say it's about to go away. I heard.
yes, isn't that amazing?
But the whole Y chromosome is actually going away. It's like, well,
It's
dang.
degenerating. Yeah, it's and that doesn't mean we're not going to have men, but it does mean that we know that XX was before XY, because like I said, the second X, and we talk about the SRY gene, which is what activates the male to become a male in in the human production, while the human is forming. So if there wasn't even the SRY gene, we wouldn't even have them develop as males in the womb. Let me talk to you about the once doce. I think they're called the what are they called? The doces. They're basically young women, girls in the DR, in the Dominican Republic, that turn into boys during puberty.
What?
Girl, yes, the bodies. We're talking amazing. Okay, they start forming their they close up. Their clitoris becomes the shaft, the penis. Their testes drop from, they're not the ovaries anymore, and then they actually don't become male until around puberty, and so they're born something happens with the SRY gene in the womb. I'm just gonna say that just for basics. They're not activated in the womb to become boys. They don't become boys until, meaning physical boys, like, you know, with the genitals. They don't do that until puberty. Go look it up. I forget what they're called. It's something doses, like 12. I forgot what they're called. I can look it up, but you can too if you want. I'll look it up right now. Isn't that fascinating?
That is insane. What?
They're called the doses. I'll get it right now and read it to you. Yeah. So they're little girls until they turn into boys. They're of course it's huevo doses, like the balls. Huevo is balls. It's hueve doses. So balls at 12. Okay. So the huevo doses in the village, these children were known as huevo doses, literally meaning, well, they're saying penis at 12, but it really means balls. Huevo doce, also known locally as the machi hembras, which is first woman then man. So in a remote village, some boys don't grow their penis until they're 12. In especially specifically the Dominican Republic, but this isn't just exclusive to the DR, of course. Is that not fascinating?
That is crazy.
So they come out phenotypically with all the plumbing, so to speak, as girls, but then they form as boys when puberty hits.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's where you can go back to when they're saying the male come first. You can see in real time that they are female by all measures, besides if you do their, except unless you examine their chromosomes, you know. But going back to before we had XY chromosomes as a species, there were males that were just basically XX. Now, were they specifically looking like the XX chromosomes? No, but it is like the prototype to what the XX chromosome it was. So we all had basically XX, the same, a set in our chromosomes. But one group of us started to have the degeneration of the second X, which is now the Y chromosome. Boom. So you're on the right track.
When we were talking about this, they brought up the archaic X and all this other stuff. Have you ever heard of the archaic X?
Yeah, the archaic X is so what that's going with your argument. I'm talking about archaic X. There was no Y. It was XX chromosome. It wasn't. That's why I'm saying it wasn't exactly like what we know as XX today, but it was basically we all were X chromosome, meaning we were all what women are today, XX chromosome. But the males, their second X in the species degenerated, even though they already were, they would form the genitalia. That's what is known, that they had male genitalia, but their chromosomes were not XY, right? They didn't have XY chromosomes.
Okay.
It's pretty fascinating. Why? What did they say about the archaic X?
Hold on. Let me just because I was trying to find it so you could hear it, because it was so much being said, because I never even heard about the archaic X until they had to, because it became like a like it just got so I had never even heard of that archaic X before this conversation. What am I saying? Like, what are we going? What are we doing here? I'm talking about there was a priesthood of women. That these are human, really real living beings, not like just like the discussion of Osiris and this, that, the other, and this. I'm talking about the priesthood of this whole thing, not just the beings that stories were told about. Let's go. And so,
you heard of him?
Ptah, yes.
He's the one that created the universe with his word. So this
So
desire,
what about the Olodumare is what it's called in Yoruba. Pata Olodumare, same thing. Let's go. The waters. What about so you're saying that before there was water,
the water beings you're talking about, we just named the four. They're the Agdawas. In the language they call Khamenu. The Khamenu.
so are you trying to say that we're not in a water plasma-ish universe? That this is not like
everything is a fluid.
So what came prior to the water?
Just the creator.
The creator that created the water.
I just named them. So
was it not triple darkness?
Absolutely.
And triple darkness is a feminine thing.
It was.
Okay, was that triple darkness a combination of male and female?
That triple darkness doesn't have a gender. That created genders.
But according to like Yoruba, triple darkness is a feminine energy. That because it's like the water, the
femininity was first. Then it was masculinity. Like this is
so what happened. So what's happening is I'm doing a show. So I'm trying to get to the part where we talk about the X, because they wouldn't even admit that there was even that they got to the point where they're like, no. Right.
But
just like you have Olokun from the depths of the deep water was a thing that was a combination of male and female, and then all of the life that sprung from the waters, from the depths of the deep and the darkness of the waters. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it wasn't just a male or female, it was a both. It was a combination. Just like you think of amoeba or whatever, like kind of a weird, like thing, energy that it has both duality, right? So
that comes the thing. Even when you here's the thing. Even when you talk about these beings that were a combination of male and female, right?
I mentioned that.
I mean,
I mentioned that.
That's what we are. If you really want to be
pretty
honest,
much, yes.
That's what we are right now.
But I'm gonna let you go
That's
ahead.
what we are right now. As we, you feel me? But here's the thing: like this is the part y'all keep forgetting and you keep leaving out. At the end of the day, you still get female from male, not male from female.
What? You
Yeah.
still get female from male, not male from female. What?
You still get female from male.
What? Yeah, this
Is
is what
talking
he said.
about
And then
passing on the chromosomes.
Man, it's gonna get crazy. Watch. Let me speed it up a little bit.
That's the part y'all keep leaving out because
what?
Y'all don't have a Y chromosome.
Because we don't have a Y chromosome.
We have both.
They
The
have
X
both.
and the Y. Y'all only have the X. That's the easiest way to prove it. We don't even got to go into no philosophy. We don't got to go into no history. We don't got to go into nothing but just that.
But some people will say that the Y is a mutated X.
Okay, and then I would say to them that the X we have today is a mutated form of the archaic X, just like that Y is a mutated form of the archaic Y. And they both existed before that. Again, what you were talking about is what this clown
see.
What did he say about Ankh?
Oh yeah, he yeah, he basically they think he's a clown. Man, you know what? No, I wish I could have did this when he said that. Okay,
that has nothing to do with
this
that.
is a NIH, the national NIH. Okay,
right?
The National Institute of Health. So I'm not like talking about the AI, because a lot of times they're like, oh, that's the AI. You know what I'm saying? No, this is from the National Institute of Health. So what all AI does is they scrape the internet and they compile what is out there and then they come up with the answer, right? So from the National Institute of Health, right? Essentially, yes, the Y chromosome evolved from an ancestral X chromosome over 100 millions of years. Through evolutionary mutation, the small section of the X chromosome developed into a sex-determining switch. Over time, the Y chromosome stopped swapping genetic material with other chromosomes and degenerated, losing most of its original genes. Now, these guys are going to talk about like some kind of mutated X, or I've never heard of this. Like not mutated, like something. See, I had never heard of that degenerated X or whatever they want to call the archaic X. This was my first time hearing about the archaic X. So I stand corrected that there is something that exists like that. I've never heard of that. So I don't even know what the hell. Like that, like bro, they went into some science I have never even heard of before.
Right, they did some science shit and some theory shit instead of facts. This is what they go to. When facts fail, then they go to some theory, science, and man-made shit. Right.
Like I don't even know where the hell they got that. I'm like, what? Like, and they were all like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like what?
Exactly.
But anyway, so because they were really anti 607 the whole way, like everything he was saying, they kind of like just was going in. Let's go.
Well, what was he saying?
I'm trying to get to the part where he got to finish because I was stopping it to explain that some of the women are better than each other. That's not where I'm going.
Hold on, fair enough. You said some can mutate to get worse, or some can mutate to get better. So let's look at the mutation. Do men have more survival skills than women?
Oh man, see, this is what the
y'all.
It never fails. This shit never fails. It never fails. This shit get worse and worse every time. So. Yo.
So yeah, they went from the X and Y chromosome to survival skills and I even explained to them that actually the best hunters were the grandmas and etc.
Genesis. Oh, my bad, Genesis. My bad. Yo, I even be.
Yeah, it's like what? Like, yo, so like now we're gonna move the goalposts into. So even though we talked about they had to say, well, there's actually a mutation of the X chromosome, but no, it actually was a Y. It's like, bro, what? Based on what science?
Right, I can't believe this shit. Now,
it gets weirder and like you guys cannot be so red pill that y'all just like.
Who has the most of Bible?
They get so red pill that they can't even conceptualize anything beyond that. Excuse me for like the shush every once in a while because we were talking fast, but let's
That's okay.
Okay, but it got so weird. Like they just it was like you women want to always make it seem like y'all were above us. Let's go.
Tactics? Like, are you serious? Who got the most survival tactics? Genesis, I know girls that can be homeless. Right.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Genesis, I know girls that could be homeless longer than certain men that could be homeless, and just like it's vice versa. So you can't. What are you talking about? Who can have survival tactics? It's all about your traits. It's not about gender. It's your characteristics. It's about if you have the tools to do it or not. That's what it's about. It's not about no gender. It's about if you're equipped to handle the job, to do the task or not. It's not about no gender. Damn. What the fuck is wrong? They act like men and women don't have the same characteristics. I know it's in different people, but still, men don't have certain characteristics that women don't. No. We all have this, like, we don't have the same, but I mean, certain people do, but nobody is an exception to characteristics. Nobody has a characteristic that the other gender doesn't. That's what I mean. What is he talking about? Damn. Guys,
it's frustrating even listening to that. You see, a person that has Down syndrome or something like that. Isn't it like when you have two different mutations, some kind of weird thing, you get Down syndrome or something? Like, what are we talking like that genetically? I don't understand what that is.
Right, stupid. Wrong when he was explaining that the woman came first crap that he can't prove.
Well, no, it's not about woman came first because even if you go into
Genesis.
Yeah,
is this your channel or theirs?
It's my channel, but I was on their channel. I'm playing on my channel of that.
Yeah, this is just as long as I know it's from your channel. But
yeah, no, okay. You see so this is me and him.
Israel Rising. Go ahead.
Reviewing that, because we were reviewing that conversation. So that's why you hear millennial talking. That's why he's getting frustrated.
Harwin is in there.
Harwin, was in the original conversation, and we're just reviewing the conversation that we had.
I got you.
Let's go.
I heard him say that yesterday or the day before when we reviewed him talking. So it's being misconstrued. The women were the first out of the water. True. We could concede to that. But they wasn't the first at all. It was a simultaneous thing that happened.
Right,
but
just like you have Olakun.
Well, it wasn't women. It wasn't even women the first out of the water. It was feminine. There was the feminine aspect spiritually, and then if we look at whatever organism that was, there wasn't a sex to the first organism. Right? We agree with that.
I believe it had like both. It had a male and feminine aspect. That's why it was able to create on its own.
Yeah, when we talk about parthenogenesis and so going to the first organism, yes, it didn't have sex chromosomes that were saying XX, and it wasn't classified as female. However, we do know that reptiles, and now they can even do it with certain mammals such as mice, and they found one human boy who was created through parthenogenesis, but I digress. We know that when there is asexual reproduction, what species is the asexual reproduction coming from? It's coming from the female. Now, when I said there was a boy, some people say, well, no, that's not true, because only parthenogenesis only works when it's a female produces another female. But in this case with the boy, which I will find it, it is a type of parthenogenesis where the woman, the human woman, actually, how do I say, the boy basically was created. I got to get it because I don't want to chop it up. But the boy was created without basically the man's sperm. I'm going to get it for you right now because people think, oh, that's bullshit.
Oh, wow. That's something. I wish I had that night, because honey, they was like, no, it all came from, we came from they made this huge argument that we came from the man. And I'm still trying to figure out how logistically did that happen. I mean, like, I think it was a combination of male and female. And then all of the
I'm sorry, not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
It says, now this is parthenogenesis, reproduction without males. Now this is just one, but this isn't the one I was really talking about, but let me read this. On August 2nd, 2007, it was revealed that discredited, this isn't the one I'm talking about, but it says discredited Wang Woo-suk, a South Korean scientist, unknowingly produced the first human embryos resulting from parthenogenesis. But this isn't the one I was talking about, but I got to read this one too. So what I'm saying, yes, there are mammals that can do parthenogenesis. It's not just they say reptiles, but I got to find the boy. That wasn't the boy.
So they just now in Holland actually made it so that a male can actually, by using without even using an egg, somehow they've used the sperm.
I saw that crap. That's
which
crazy.
is really strange.
I don't believe that'll happen, but we'll see.
Frankenstein person that they're about to create, but okay.
I know. Look at this. The boy whose blood has no father. This is in New Scientist magazine, and it was in 1990. Oh, why are they always trying to make me? I'm not registering, okay? I'm not doing it. Don't you hate that when they try to make you register?
You gotta to sign up and pay like $5 to get the membership.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a boy in 1995. Development of an unfertilized female sex cell without any male contribution is what parthenogenesis is. I got to get the article about the boy, and it is a fact that the boy. So I just found this one thing about Wang Woo-suk. I didn't know about that, but the one about the boy, and I think he's in Holland. Is that what you said? Did you say Holland?
In Holland, yeah.
No, this
that's in the Netherlands or Holland or somewhere over in that region right now, either Netherlands or Holland. They have created a way for, like, I think, to make two sperms make a baby. I'm like, how? Like, well, okay, all right.
So basically in the lab with the Korean guy I'm listening to, they're doing, the boy this happened, when I talk about the boy, it happened with a woman naturally. But this stuff that we're seeing, the parthenotes, they're creating embryos in a lab without male sperm. Yep. Human embryos without male sperm.
Wow. Yeah.
So they're cultivating it, the embryo, the ovum. And I don't know how they're doing it, but it's happening. So let me see. This says first human produced by parthenogenesis. A new hypothesis may explain human parthenogenesis and ovarian. This is happening, y'all. This makes men scared and upset. I'm laughing because I could just hear the brothers out there. They want to do it without us, y'all. Okay.
Honey, it ain't even us doing it. It's these scientists doing all this wild stuff.
Scientists, yeah, because it's possible.
And it's probably male scientists that's doing it, not even female. It's men that's doing this crazy stuff.
Of course, it's male.
Right.
Damn, this is crazy. All this information. We got to go over this. I can't. I got to suss through all of this before I just start jumping in. But I know about the boy. The boy was created in the womb, but the sperm didn't fertilize. I forget how it worked. The sperm didn't fertilize him, but this thing wouldn't let me read it. Let me try one more time. Human boy in 1985. And when you say this to people, they laugh because you know, they didn't think stuff like this was possible. The boy whose blood had no father. I tried to look at that one. A boy whose body is derived in part from an unfertilized ovum. Yeah. That's crazy, right?
But it's an envelope, so no soul. Yeah, I would think that thing does not have it. Whatever that is not soulless. I
He was
don't think.
British, by the way.
What kind of crazy being is that going to be? Like, what kind of like what? Okay,
Boy, who said soul? Did you say soulless?
Like, I mean, how is if they're created in like a test tube without no like what?
Well,
like,
he was the boy I'm talking about was just a lady. They tested his blood. She was just a regular.
No, I'm talking about these things that they're creating sperm on sperm, you know, whatever they're doing in this lab and trying to.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's gonna have like, what is that gonna be? Like, what kind of a person would that end up being?
I know, right? Parthenogenesis. I don't
That's
know. Maybe just a
crazy.
cool person.
I mean, in a lab though, I don't know. If it was in a human, maybe it might have some passed down genetic from the human being into it that's created. You know, maybe some of that passes on. But
right,
they're gonna do that in an incubator and then grow that child from. I don't know what that's going to end up being, but let's go into like this from the waters, from the depths of the deep and the darkness of the waters. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it wasn't just a male or female, it was a boat. It was combined, just like you think of amoeba or whatever, like kind of a weird, you know, like thing, energy that it has. Go ahead.
Wait, pause it. But no, it's still the concept of it being female, meaning it was the first and it reproduced itself. That's what I mean about it's the feminine, because it brought forth life, just like the female species can bring forth life with the fertilization of the sperm. But before we had that, like you said, we were androgynous, or we were like a dual type of male female. So let me read this real quick, okay? Just let me get this out. Let me read it. The British boy parthenogenesis refers to a landmark 1995 medical case where scientists discovered a British boy with a rare condition called parthenogenetic chimeras. Parthenogenetic chimeras, because a developing egg cell started to divide on its own without sperm.
What?
Before an ordinary fertilization had ever occurred. About half of the boy's body possessed only maternal DNA. The mechanism, in an incredibly rare occurrence, the boy's mother, so this didn't happen in a lab, this happened naturally. The boy's mother had an egg that began the process of parthenogenesis, self-dividing without sperm. This typically halts development and results in an ovarian tumor. We've heard about those, how they have teeth. Yeah. Yes. So in this case, however, the egg was subsequently fertilized by a normal sperm, but it was already in the process of being, you know, separating and turning into a human. So it was subsequently fertilized by a normal sperm, and the two sets of cells merged into a single viable fetus. The result, the boy was a chimera, meaning he had two genetically distinct cell lines. While his body grew properly, blood tests were pivotal in uncovering that a large portion of his blood cells lacked any trace of paternal DNA. Scientific significance is that this was the closest documented occurrence of a human virgin birth or partial virgin conception. It provided researchers with vital insights into the limits of human embryonic growth and how our bodies require a mix of both mother's and father's genes for full development. That's what they're adding. They're saying for that thing to fully develop, it needed to be fertilized. But we can't deny that it started to develop on its own, which happens to women all the time. It was, the cells were separating, and then it got a shot of the dad. So part of that boy is all maternal line without any paternal DNA. How fascinating. Now, the last part of this says, beyond this natural anomaly, British scientists have explored parthenogenesis in a laboratory. So see, they're doing it in the lab now. For instance, researchers at the Roslin Institute in Edinburgh, where Dolly the sheep was cloned, generated significant scientific headlines in 2005 when they successfully stimulated human eggs to divide without sperm in order to study the stem cells without the intention of creating a viable baby. They're lying. That was a lie. Because now we know that they're making humans in the lab without human sperm. What are we talking about here? People that want to say, well, you can't do it without the lab. That's not true. If the cell was already dividing and becoming a viable fetus, usually it will die. Usually you'll have a tumor with teeth and hair and fingernails in your womb. But they say, oh, it didn't really develop into a viable human, because the way our bodies have evolved to need to have the fertilization of the male sperm. But before we evolved, we had the ability to create human beings in ourselves before we started doing intercourse. We didn't need to have sexual intercourse as a species. Isn't this fascinating? So, of course, going back to this organism, I know I'm talking a lot, but let me just get this last part. In this organism that we talk about in the beginning, people will say, oh, well, it wasn't male or female. It wasn't labeled male or female, but we know it's the prototype of the female because life comes out of us. So it was the feminine, it was the female prototype, not the male prototype. The male is an evolution out of the feminine, the female prototype. How do we know this? Because they have a degenerating X, they have a degenerating second X, which is now a Y chromosome. But if you look at different scientists, they'll say, oh no, the XY chromosome was always present, but there is an archaic X only. Well, duh. If we see that the X, the Y is basically degenerating because it was once an X, we can deduce that the male is still evolving. Get it? He's evolving into what? What is the male evolving into?
I don't know. Lord knows what they're evolving into.
But that is what's going on. We were all started out as asexual, like, and then we were dual, then we were androgynous, meaning we were within dual sexual, like hermaphrodites, which isn't appropriate anymore. People don't use that word, I know. But transsexual, not transex, intersex. We were all, first we were asexual, meaning we were just this organism that was just reproducing itself through parthenogenesis, right? Then it evolved into an intersex, which we have these people today, which they're called, they have male and female organs. We evolved into intersex, and we could still reproduce self, but because we needed, the reason we needed to be intersex, everyone, is because for genetic mutations, there were too many genetic defects. If you just keep on reproducing yourself, you're not gonna breed, so to speak, breed out genetic defects. You get it? So as a species for survival, we became intersex so we can have more variety to choose from. Like we can go outside of ourselves and blend our gene pool to breed out and have a better chance of survival. That's the only reason we started to be doing sex and reproduction as an organism. That's it. Because we wanted to breed out.
Is that now that the X is going away, the Y is going away, what does that actually mean? Like, does that mean we're going back to The X. So they're gonna be without a Y. Then what is that? What's that mean? This is gonna be X.
I don't know, but I do know that
what's going on.
I do know that we're still going to have males, but even let me say this: there's not just X, Y, and XX chromosomes. We have individuals who have XXY. We have individuals who have different, like triple X. I think there's a Z chromosome now. It's wild.
I thought that when it has that WXXY, that's where you get the Down syndrome aspect.
No. These are sex chromosomes, right? These aren't.
But I thought that is what happens with Down syndrome, is that they have an additional.
I mean, an extra chromosome, but I don't think it's sex chromosomes, is it?
I don't know. I gotta look.
Let me see. But, well, Down syndrome would be an extra chromosome, but I don't think it's necessarily. I don't know. I'm just gonna say that I've seen when I was doing research on this. Let me look at this for you. Let me look it up. Are there? Okay.
Oh, okay. It's what, chromosome 21.
And how many? There's different ones. Okay, so yes, there's XXX chromosomes, also known as triple X syndrome or trisomy X. It is a genetic variation that affects approximately 1 in 1,000 females. Instead of typical 2 X chromosomes, these individuals have 3. That's not Down syndrome, though.
Okay.
I think they can't reproduce, though. I think Down syndrome is a different type. It's not a sex chromosome. I'm not sure. I mean, I should be because I knew about it before. No. Down syndrome, did you look it up?
It says chromosome 21. I'm not sure what that chromosome is.
That's not a sex chromosome.
So what is it if the Y just completely goes away, then there's gonna be people with just only X chromosome? Like, hold on. Are there people with only one X chromosome?
There's different ones. So
it's called Turner syndrome. It's called Turner syndrome, and it's missing all a part of the second sex chromosome.
Okay, so Jacob's syndrome is XY.
As a biological female, but the missing genetic material frequently causes short stature, ovarian failure, and infertility. So what they're going to end up being is an infertile female. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're infertile. They can't reproduce. Jacob's syndrome, XYY syndrome, is also trisomy XYY with an extra copy of sex chromosomes Y, is also a rare sex chromosome defect. So there's different ones, but this isn't.
It all equals infertility. So that's interesting. So it's almost like whatever we're doing in this society is actually causing the Y chromosome to disintegrate and basically make women infertility. So they're getting away with, so whatever nature is doing, or whatever society is doing, whatever all this crazy stuff is that's causing the X to go away, it's basically going to stop reproduction altogether, unless we go back into
I don't know about that
Genesis as a whole.
Giving us a grim prognosis here, ma'am.
Oh my God. Well, maybe that's what they saw in Project Looking Glass. I don't know, but anyway,
pretty interesting.
Fertility, and eventually, like, people just stop procreating altogether. That's crazy, but that is very grim. That's very, but anyway, but we still arguing over.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, so real quick though, I just want to say chromosome 21 is the smallest human autosome, spanning about 48 million base pairs and containing 200 to 300 genes. It represents about 1.5% to 2% of the total human DNA. While most people inherit one copy of this chromosome from each parent, having 3 copies that causes Down syndrome. So no, that's not a sex chromosome. That's just, but that is a good to know. So we put that out there, but not to be confused with the sex chromosome. So there's not just the XX. We got all this other stuff going on, but those are defects. Yeah. So back to you, what you said, that's a good question. Science is asking the same question. What's going to happen to the Y chromosome, which was originally an X chromosome, y'all. You don't have to believe me. Go do your research. It degenerated into the Y. It's been stabilized for of course millions of years, right? And I mean, I'm not going to say millions. Should we say millions? I'll say how long? I gotta
It could
get
be
that.
millions because how old is the oldest female fossil? Because I didn't see a male fossil next to the female that Lucy and all the different
Right.
female fossils that they're finding. What's the oldest male fossil?
I don't. Well, they do have that one. You know, the original
Morocco or
male.
whatever.
That's like hundreds of thousands of years old, though. I don't think it's millions. I think the female is older. What's it called? The first father or something like that. Hold on. Only. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Okay.
That's saying what 300 to 3,300,000. I mean 33,000 years.
300 and yeah, around 300,000, right? The male.
Okay, so it says the Turkana boy, Homo erectus, discovered in Kenya, is a 1.5 million year old fossil. Is the most complete early human skeleton ever found, and it has a near perfect look at the adolescent male's body proportions.
Okay. But he had XY, XX, or XY chromosomes. How old was it? Millions of years ago, you said?
1.5 million year old.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's
Wow.
called the Turkana boy, and it was found in
Okay.
Kenya.
Modern humans lack Neanderthal.
1984. Yeah, that's this thing. Of course, they're gonna make a whole out. They're gonna put like a little face on it and everything like that. You know.
Yeah, the X chromosome is like solid. And then we have the Y chromosome. I think it has like, the X one has millions of, I gotta look it up before I start talking.
We're gonna look at this Turkana and see what its chromosomes were, but
Okay.
Interesting.
You want me to share it?
It did it have an XY chromosome or XX?
I don't know. We have to look.
This is
right?
crazy though. When you think about it, that whole
I think it wasn't exactly XX, but it was a type of X. You get what I'm saying? It wasn't a Y. That's my point. There wasn't a Y present.
see, they're gonna say see, they do like weird stuff like this. See, this is how it gets weird. See, watch what they say here. They're gonna say, so I said, did the Turkana boy have XX or XY, right? So it had XY chromosomes, right? But it says, although ancient DNA, aDNA degrades over time and cannot be extracted, his biological sex is known to be male. This is determined by the distinct anatomy of his pelvis.
No, see, then they don't
male
know.
shape, even though so they did not.
Why
Because
don't
he
they
was
just say
male.
they don't
So
know?
they did, yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
They don't know. They didn't do it. They can't. DNA doesn't even test that far back. That's what I was even telling outside the cube. The DNA can't even tell you what. But they'll be like, oh, because it's the way his pelvis was shaped. But
So
then they'll automatically give it XY, but they didn't actually do a DNA because they can't go. They can't test past, I think, 300,000 years.
Listen to this. The X chromosome spans about 155 million DNA building blocks, base pairs, and represents approximately 5% of the total DNA in cells. Huh. This is from medlineplus.gov. And then on the genome.gov, the genome website, it
Check
says
this out. This is how you know it's some bullshit in the game. Do you see this? It just said that the XY, that the boy had the XY chromosome, right? It just said that.
Yeah. Okay, go on.
But they can't. All right. The modern distinct version of a human Y chromosome traces its origin to a single male ancestor who lived 300,000 years ago.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's what I know about the 300,000 years. How could it be 150 to 200 million years?
I mean, they just feel like they're just making up stuff.
Yeah, so basically, they don't. That's what I was saying. There was no Y chromosome. I'd say about 200 million years ago, it wasn't a Y chromosome. It was different. It was like a type of X only, or like an X chromosome, the second one.
This sounds like word salad.
Oh, somebody's asking if they can join. I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
Damn.
I'm sorry. We didn't got. Listen, we done went down a rabbit hole. What the hell?
We did. Like, it's like, what? Like, can I join, y'all? Yeah, you can hit the channel.
We a rabbit hole. We done went down a whole rabbit hole. Go
yeah,
ahead,
but make sure you turn on your camera.
On yours thing, because it's not. He's in your chat.
Okay, y'all. I have about 19% more battery on my laptop, and so we're gonna be. It's 2 hours and 26 minutes. This is good though. Dang, we should have done this earlier because I want. Let's do a show on this tomorrow, Lord willing.
Because this is crazy when you think about it.
Because we gotta find out about this X and this Y.
Right, it started off about the oracles, and now it's turned into the
genetics. We're finding out about. Look, men, we're gonna find out that you guys are just basically women with Y chromosomes. I'm just kidding, brothers. I'm just kidding, my friends. You know, some men
they are women. That's all. Listen, all they are is a woman with an extended clitoris. So I'm just joking.
Stop. No, they're men. They're special evolved. They're an evolution of us. When we talk about chromosomally, they are evolved. They say the Y is degenerating in scientific language, but really, I'd like to think that it's just an evolution. Evolving from the X into the Y, and who knows what will be in another. I'm going to say 1,000 years.
He said we are going back to Genesis. We're going back. It went completely full.
I like that deal. Going back to Genesis. Okay, Jav, make sure. Can you turn your? Yep. Okay. This is. I know this brother right here. What's going on?
We done went down a rabbit hole of all hell to hell.
No, I think this is great. I think we're doing. We need to do more. What do you want to add, John Boy?
Yeah, you got it. I changed my name from John Doe to my nickname. I get a lot of flack for John Doe. Yeah.
Oh well, I love John Doe, but I want to say Jab.
Yeah, but sorry, I'm walking right now, so it might go in and out of light.
That's great.
Man, I just have just like maybe 2 comments and maybe 1 question was probably gonna throw you for a loop. Okay. So my comment is I agree with damn near everything y'all ladies said. One of my comments is, well, if you look at the male testes actually looks like the women's egg. It's just our egg is just protruding from the body. It's on the outside, so to say, and the lady's zone is internal, right?
Right.
Actually, you talk about the actual testicles.
Yes, man. Like
an egg with a bunch.
He's talking about the ovaries.
Yeah, the ovaries. There you go. Yeah.
I know
it looks just like a male testy.
That's what it is, though. That's actually
what it is.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I just said that to say that male and females, we damn near the same. Like you said, our reproductive organs are exactly the same, but our one is just protruding, coming out, and y'all ones are internal.
That's exactly right, and that's amazing because you're like an evolution of what? Why do I say an evolution? Because did you hear us talk about the huevo dulce, the children that start out?
Yes, the children. Yes.
Yeah,
yes, ma'am.
And then they they so-called turn into males at age 12 in puberty. So it's amazing.
So are transgenders actually like another evolution of?
That's my. Ooh, man, that leads to my question.
Oh, I got it.
So check this out, right? Now, Mr. Napar, you just mentioned something about intersex, right? And
yes,
babies developing without sperm, right?
Right.
So when you hear the LBGT community says that I was born like this,
Yes.
males, I was born like this, I was born G or
Yeah.
gay or whatever, I was born trans, I was born this way.
Uh-huh.
Now, isn't that, do you don't think that that's a way that kind of bleeds into what you were saying about, I don't want to say, just, yes, they came here by, sperm and the egg, I understand that, but
Right.
just the state of mind and the, something within them,
Right.
however they feel, emotions and all that, could it be possible that they were born with more feminine, with a more of a feminine emotion, more of a feminine mind state, and like, yo, I'm a girl, but even though I was born as a guy,
Yes.
you
That
know,
that
you
the
get
answer is
you see
yes.
how I'm trying to,
I think they
blend
did
it all in, like,
they
There are
did some
inter-
brain scans that actually said that their brains are a little bit got like different something going on.
right,
Yeah,
uh-huh,
there's intersex people who 100%, some of them they do have like a chromosomes. They check their chromosomes and they find out that they do, I think I said intersex. They find,
yes,
oh, this boy is intersex. Oh, this girl is intersex. And that may, I don't know the percentage of the cases where they figure out, oh, this is why you are leaning toward wanting to be a girl. Some of
right,
them legitimately are female biologically and male.
so
So that's
so
very interesting.
so are they, so my part B of my question is, are people who are like this, are they really wrong when they said that I was born like this? I
So
was
some of
born,
them,
I knew, you get what I'm saying, Mr. Parr? Like, maybe he actually is something in him, in his body, that really believes, in his mind, his emotions or whatever, actually believe, yo, I'm gay, I'm gay,
well, look at this. Remember, we just talked about the XXY and the XYY.
Right,
So,
right,
so that could be, even though it's considered a defect, they have issues where, okay, what is this person? Is this XXY a woman, or is it an XXY that's a girl? And some intersex people, they just have the chromosomes that are not typical. So I don't know if it's what percentage, if it's a small or large percentage of them, but some of them legitimately are
yeah.
having, dual sex. So so the answer is, if it's fitting them biologically, if they're intersex, and if whatever, if they have chromosomes that are not that basically they're an anomaly, they are legitimate to say I was born this way. But again, that's not all of them. However,
No, no, no.
there is a group of people who are biologically both sexes,
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So
interesting,
that,
right?
But you
yeah.
know what's so interesting is that in the Middle East, right? They have a whole. I think they acknowledge that like more heavily in that area, and that's why they're the ones that do the surgery more.
Okay, I got to talk to you about that. That's because they are
Wow.
they are rife with child abuse. They have
Right.
a group of boys in Afghanistan and in Iran, where they call them the Bache Bazi. They're little boys that they sleep
Uh-huh.
with and make them act feminine because they don't want to so-called defile the women. And that is what they're doing in the Middle East, which is ridiculous and
That's
sad and
mm-hmm.
disgusting. So yes,
That's
in the
true.
Middle East they do. They're very ironically very liberal with the homosexuality and the P3DOs and the sex change stuff. But there's a reason they say, well, we'd rather just sleep with a little boy who's similar looking and hasn't turned into hasn't had the testosterone in puberty,
Mm-hmm.
so he's got that feminine vibe. But they're doing high level P3DO over there. Isn't that disgusting? So yes,
That's
you're right about
crazy.
that.
Oh my god, it's terrible.
That's it.
Mm-mm-mm.
They have a name for the boys. Bachebozi means boys, children, little boys or little kids for play. That is what
Oh
it
wow.
means. Bachebozi. It is definitely sick over there. Yes. The Bachebozi. Boys that we play with, children that we play with.
And you know what, Mr. Pa, and then got the nerve to come over here to America and look at us like we crazy.
Right.
Right. And that's what it gets back into this patriarchal conversation. We said women robbed and silenced by patriarchy is the title.
Well, you know, in Greece, that was a status thing for men to have little boys. They called it pederasty to sugarcoat it. They called it boy love, pederasty. And of course, we called them P3DOs, but pederasty, it was a status thing for, and you talked about it with me, Genesis, how in Africa, parts of Africa, right? They have, the man can have like a little boy lover and be married, right? In some countries.
I'm not sure a little boy, but it could be a male lover.
Okay, male lover, yeah. Well, in Greece, they had very young boys, like 13, 11. Oh, who was it? Oh my gosh, Nero. Oh my goodness, the story, it's horrible. I believe it's Nero, one of the emperors of Rome. His wife died and he saw a little boy come in, a teenager, and the boy looked just like his wife, so he made the boy, he made the boy be with him, and they modeled him like his wife and kept him as his, and just, isn't that sick? I gotta find out that story. This is a nightmare. The boy was basically, can you guys hear me? I can't hear you guys. Oh wait.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hold on. Into his deceased wife. Hold on, I'm gonna read it to you right now. It's wild. Okay. Oh my God. Emperor Nero, a young slave boy who the Roman Emperor Nero castrated and married. Yes, and he met him in Greece, y'all. So I told you that was their vibe over there. So it says he castrated the young slave boy and turned him into his wife because he looked so much like his deceased wife. It says this was allegedly a result of the resemblance to Nero's late wife, Poppaea, the one he kicked to death while she was pregnant. Yeah, he was a fool. He was a complete fool. He blamed the Christians for the burning of Rome when it was his fault. So this is sick. I was trying
to find the Europe of divination tool. So if you were ever I can't find it online, but I'm gonna look for the picture, like probably to bring it up tomorrow. But if you were ever considered to do something like to a child in Yoruba, they had this form of divination that they would like to see, okay, did this person, are they guilty, are they not guilty? And then when they would use this divination, and if the person was found guilty, it had like these sharp points on it, and they would stick that through the person's eyes through their skull. And
good. Yeah, sounds beautiful. On that note, I love that.
He was not down with that.
We need to bring that over here. But I want to go ahead and we're going on almost 3 hours. We're at 2:40, so let's close out and do another one. It's talking more about this X chromosome mystery and the Y chromosome mystery tomorrow. What do you think?
Yeah, this got really good. This is really good. It was really interesting. So
yeah, this was great.
Good topic. Great topic.
Yeah, thank you for coming in, Jav.
And we didn't get to finish to talk about. Oh, you know what? That was that was actually the end of it when it talked about the black woman who wrote Shakespeare's plays. So actually, that was toward the end of that. So we really got to the end of that Shakespearean aspect that the women were the ones that wrote that. And so it actually, yeah. So that video was over after that anyway. So that
Well, yeah, and that was good information because I didn't know that she was actually a black Jew, meaning they're saying Jewish, but she's a black Jew. So they say that Shakespeare wrote the Bible through a woman. Sometimes they say that Shakespeare wrote it for King James, and then we hear that a woman wrote it for him. So this is so interesting how we're unraveling all this. Thank you so much for bringing this up, Genesis. We got to do more tomorrow. We got to talk about this X chromosome and this Y chromosome.
So, Miss Nepal, when you think you're gonna have another discussion about Jesus being the serpent in the garden, I had a question about that because I caught your live early this morning too.
Okay, what do you want to
Yeah,
add?
and I want to, and it's just quick. So I kind of took that two ways, right? When you said Jesus is serpent or Yahweh was the serpent, right?
Yeah.
So I think Sarnetta might have asked this question. So is Jesus good or is he negative? Because I mean, and if so,
the serpent was good. Yes, Jesus is very good.
but how was he good if he tempted Eve to eat the fruit?
But he didn't tempt Eve. It says that the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, he set her free. He said, no, you won't die. What will happen is you will know good from evil, being gods like the gods who are ruling you. So really, he said, they just don't want you to be gods. So he set her free.
Sorry, go ahead, sis.
No, go ahead.
So why would Jesus say something like that if his father told them not to eat the fruit?
But the Elohim was not his. It wasn't the Father. It's called the Elohim. They're a council of Creator God, and basically, I just barely saved my battery from dying. Ooh.
Yeah, man, we got to catch up on that later, man. That's a discussion for another day.
Elohim were a group of spiritual beings. Say they're spirits, right? In the group, there were good and bad spirits. Jesus and his type and the good spirits like Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, they were the good spirits. They separated from the Elohim, which were with Satan. And those Elohim said, don't you learn good from evil. You know how Genesis and I are talking about how the women had all the knowledge and this power? So they wanted to guard it from everybody. They didn't want everybody to have that knowledge. They didn't want everybody to know good from evil so they can be good powers and gods and judges. So they said, you can do everything you want besides eat from, meaning learn the difference between good and evil. But Christ or the serpent goes to them and says, why do you think that you shouldn't eat from that tree? They say, well, because we were told not to, that we'll die. And then Christ says, no, you won't die. That's not true. What will happen is you will become gods like the Elohim. So when she saw the tree in the text, it literally says, Eve looked at the tree and it was good. It says it in the book.
That's right.
She looked at the tree and it was good. And once they ate from it, they understood, oh my goodness, we're walking around here, we're not covered in the protection and the knowledge. We're naked. So what did they do? They clothed themselves in knowledge and in, protection. So that's the symbolism, whether they were literally naked or not. Who wants to just be walking around bare ass naked? You want to look at stuff, oh, damn, I'm naked. I got to cover myself. So then when the Elohim, which is the Satan, the wicked one, when they came, they were walking through the garden, and in the scripture it says, they heard in the scripture, it says, they heard God, the Elohim, walking through the garden. When you go to Ezekiel, I think it's chapter 34, it says it's talking to Satan. It says, you were a beautiful angel clothed in jewels, and you, not angel, but a beautiful being, whatever. And you walked through the garden. It says it in Ezekiel. So when you go back to Genesis 3, they heard the Elohim walking toward them, and they were afraid, and they hid. And when they hid, the Elohim said, you know, why are you guys covered yourself? Who told you were naked? Think about that statement. Think about that statement.
Man, this is man, I
get it. If
got
I
what
come
you're
to you and I
saying.
go, why the hell are you naked? Like, that's a bad thing for you to be somewhere naked. You're out exposed to the elements. And even mentally, you want to, like, we just, you know how we looked up all this information? We were naked before we knew the information. Once we get the information, we're no longer naked, and we can judge and use that information to be able to make good choices as gods, as rulers. So I digress. So when the Elohim said, how did you know that you were naked? And they said, the serpent.
That's another Elohim.
Hold on. Let me show you something that's gonna be even crazier. Check this picture out I just brought up.
Brenda Pie, you got to do another review on this, man.
I will.
I got so many questions, man, because damn, man, that shit is.
Yeah, we got to get into this some more because people.
I love the discussion.
Did you see what that says right there?
The 900-old church artwork depicts the forbidden fruit from the Garden of Eden as a great mushroom, not an apple. Okay, I'm not mad at that. Hey, because what a mushroom
what do mushrooms exactly?
Yes, I was just saying the same thing. They enlighten you.
Yep.
They
If you take the right one, you might have a whole hallucinating everything. You know,
you have a different level of spirituality, though. They take you on a real spiritual trip. So I'm not opposed to people saying it's a literal type of fruit body of a mushroom.
Right.
But I'm saying with the information is what we're talking about. They were given knowledge. How can a benevolent God not want you to know good from evil? When you raise your children, you say, no, that's bad. Oh, no, that's good. Oh, no, that's bad. Because you love them, right? Right. And at the end, that was cool that you showed that, Genesis. At the end of the chapter, they say, oh, damn, these people reached out and now they got the knowledge of good and evil and they're going to be like us. I thought you said they were going to die. That's why you didn't want them to eat it. Now you're telling the truth at the end of the chapter that you didn't want them to eat it because you didn't want them to be like you.
But what's crazy is that how we do our kids, though? Ain't that so? Whoever these creatures were that was telling us, it's almost like they did us like kids. Like, don't touch that. Don't do this. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, Mr. Paul, was the Elohim? Was the Elohim? That Elohim? Was he a fallen angel or something? Part of Lucifer's fallen.
Well, first off, the word Lucifer, they're all shining beings. That is what if you look at, I'm going to say the late Dr. Michael Heiser, he was a devout Christian. He did not say Jesus was a serpent in the garden, though, but he teaches that the Elohim were a group of divine beings.
Right.
They were all shining beings, but some of them were evil. And you hear about that all the time, like some broke away and some were good. In the book of Enoch, you hear about the watchers that fell away, that didn't want to serve mankind in the ancient writings. And some of them, like Raphael, first Christ, but Raphael, Michael, all of the angels that are considered archangels or archangels, they're the good ones, right? So the answer is some of the Elohim were a council of gods that they were against mankind, which we know about that today. Satan is called the adversary. Satan, in the book of Job, it says, the sons of God approached the throne of God, and they all presented themselves, and Satan was among them. Satan was one of those sons of God. And Satan said, I bet you that Job won't do this and that. So Satan right away was against mankind. just like in the garden. Some of them were against us, which were some of the Elohim, and some of them were not against us, which was the ones who were with Jesus. So that is why I continue to say that Jesus is the serpent in the garden.
No, but check this out. Hold on, like check. Look,
All right,
check.
Brian,
Like
I'm
show this.
gonna catch you later in the I'm gonna
Before
catch you
we
on your
go,
next
like
one.
check this one last thing out.
All
It's
right.
gonna blow your mind because now
Show
let
this
Neil
last bit and then we're gonna close up.
deGrasse Tyson that entered the chat into this conversation. Check out what he's saying.
Who?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay, let's hear it.
No, I'm not gonna play it. I'm just gonna show you the title of it.
Oh, good. Okay, share it.
I'm
Where
not
is
gonna
it?
play it.
Oh, there it is. I see you. Oh, shoot. Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson was on the show. I like that show, the Daily.
Yeah,
the
I'm about to
Diary of
watch it because I'm like, what is he about to say, bro?
Neil
What the heck?
deGrasse Tyson. The whistleblowers were right about. I love Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, he said that they're right about the aliens, about the
Oh, so they
aliens.
got him. Oh, wow. Because remember,
watched
Neil
that.
remember Neil wasn't, he was on the fence. We got him. He's here with us. Neil, I'm giving you a big virtual hug, brother. Welcome home. He believes in the aliens being real now. Good job. I'm so happy
Because
for
all
you.
this
Neil.
is seeming like some alien, like these Elohim seem like they was like some.
That's all they are alien, honey. They hit it on the head. That's what they are. Peace, John. Peace, Jeff. That's all they are.
All these stories sound like it's some alien civilization that existed that was farming out stuff, and that's what it really is talking about in I think not the Gnostic, but at some of these the extra Bibles, it talks about that, and then I mean it's crazy. And then when you go into the Indians and you go in not the Hinduism, all this stuff,
all of it
sound like we got visited by some creatures.
They're still here in the earth.
Hell,
right
we might
now.
be the aliens. Who knows? Or who knows? But I don't know.
No, we're not the aliens, but they're watching us right now. They're with us in the earth. They're listening to us. Some of them are being consulted and given information to these different organizations. But I know for a fact one has been in my family for a long time, and it picked me up out of my bed and carried me and said, there's something I want to show you. Why did I see that same thing happen on the movie Where the Wild Things Are? A book that I read as a child, and it gives me like a creepy memory. That book Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak, that whole guy, Maurice Sendak, just always gave me like you ever had a childhood memory where it's a cold, bittersweet, kind of like melancholy, but still not, you can't put your finger on the sadness, that kind of memory as a child?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's wild. So we got to talk more about this.
Man, because there are some things that happened in my childhood because there's so much things that are erased, right? I think that there's probably some more wild alien stuff happening. I'm not gonna lie, but they say that a lot of us have had these experiences, alien kind of experience, but it gets erased. So, like but it gets taken out of our mind, like that but it's crazy, and I don't say too much because I don't people gonna be like what, but
right.
yeah.
Well, sometime eventually we have to say, like I told the story before, Israel Rising. So, okay, we were outside. It was a storm. It was around monsoon season because there were tumbleweeds and it was raining and not raining, just drizzling and lightning. And my mom would let us go outside and play when it was, when it was a storm. Don't ask me why, okay? So my cousins, we all lived, my dad, my uncle, we lived on the same block. And then in the field down the street, at the end of the street was a huge field with, tumbleweeds, basically, like just imagine a desert landing, dusty ass area because it wasn't developed all the way. So something came down. It was just like what you see in the movies with the lights on the perimeter, a round, disc-like craft, probably about 5 to 8 feet in diameter. And all I remember is the dust coming up. When it landed, the dust on the ground was like blowing up. So there was air underneath it. And which probably is for to propel it up. That's what I assume, the air that would push it up. So, you know, for it to take off and be in air to be aerial. So anyway, we run and we're all saying, hey, oh, it's a spaceship. And my uncles get the rifles with my dad and they go down. They say, stay here. Would tell us to stay with our cousins. But of course we didn't. We followed behind our parents. And right before they got to the field where the thing landed, some cars drove up and they like intercepted my parents and my uncles going to the field where that thing landed. And the guys got out and they're like, oh, we're just testing a new aircraft at Luke Air Force Base. Don't worry about this. You know, this is just, and they were like, oh, okay, well, we were like, we thought it was an alien ship. And, it, you know, we all went home. So when we get home, because I was just little, I was like 4. So I don't remember if it was the same night or the next day, but it definitely happened after that thing. And this thing was in my room. My sister shared a room with me. She's a little bit older than me. This thing was at the foot of my bed, and it must have been like 7 to 9 feet tall. It was tall, like touching the ceiling, you know, standing in the room. And it was dark, like a dark silhouette almost kind of guy. Like if you would see somebody in the dark, but you just see their shape, it was dark. And my sister started saying, get away from her, because it picked me up out of my bed. And my sister was saying, put her down, mister, and whatever. And then all of a sudden she just went quiet. And she just was like silent. And the thing was carrying me out of the room, down the hallway. And that's when I just blacked out. I just was so terrified from fear. I just blacked out. And when I came to, I remember my ear being up against its chest. And when I came to, I look up and it was still, you couldn't see the face, but it was dark. And around its head, I want to say it was either like braids or, like bandana. I know this sounds funny as hell, but you know, remember Full Force, how they wore those bandanas? Oh, I'm not trying to be funny, but remember Full Force?
Yes.
Okay, there were some bandanas or something.
They never Jerry curl. They never Jerry curl.
No, but I think they were either locks or bandanas, like rags hanging off of his head, but it was still dark. It was all dark, but I could see the raggedy bandana hanging down. This is the first time I said bandanas because I started thinking about it. It was either locks or it wasn't like stringy hair or an afro, but it was hanging down like clumps of, like I said, rags or locks. So it was so big, and I had my ear up to the chest of it. And I could hear the steps going boom, boom, boom. On every step it took, it was that heavy. And then when I looked up, I could just see the blank like face, but it was all dark. And it said, really deep. This sounds funny. It's a deep voice like, I want to show you something. Or I think it said, there's something I want to show you. And when I heard that scary ass voice, and it was a big thing carrying me, I went back and passed out again because I was so scared. And then when I came to, I was back in my bed, and my sister, the reason I know it was real is because my sister, after that, whenever she wanted to scare me to do something like, you better come out of that room, mister's going to get you. So she would try, you know, like when you want your sister to come on, hurry up, put your shoes on. I'm going to leave you here and let mister get you. So that thing came, that was the first time it came. And then it comes to my mom sometimes. She calls it like, I was calling it the Bigfoot demon, but my mom calls it like, she says it's like a dark brown Hulk. And it shows up. It's huge. And so a couple times too, when my son was about 4 years old, and it came to me in our home. I was trying to put my son to sleep, and it appeared outside, like I had my door open to the room, and I could see it we had a bar, and it was standing by the bar, and it was, again, big and dark, and it said, when I was trying to put my son to sleep, I was like, go to sleep, go to sleep. And it said, it looked at me and he said, you're not doing it right. Let me show you how to do it. And it started coming toward me. I know that sounds funny. I can't even do the deep voice, but it started walking toward the room going, and you could hear the feet going boom, boom. And I was scared again. And my son was scared too. He's like, Mommy, he saw it. And then, back then I was saying the name of Jesus, right? But I couldn't say Jesus. I tried and I couldn't. And then once it got right close, it disappeared. And then I just said, Jesus. So the word, now I know that it's not evil. So it's just crazy. That's the second time it happened. And then, there's a couple other things. With my sister, we watched, we were laughing at stupid ass Ricky Smiley, which he is dumb. We were watching a comedy. I was married at the time to my kid's dad. And he brought a friend to meet my sister, and we were watching comedy at her home. My son was in the room sleeping, and we thought this comedy was so funny. Before my husband at the time came and his friend, we were like, "Oh, I can't wait to watch this with them. This is so funny." But it wasn't funny. It was him making fun of people's grief, saying Black people, how they act at funerals. And he was saying that there should be drive-by funerals, like drive-through. And I don't even know why I thought that shit was funny. It's terrible. But I was young, I was much younger. So we thought it was hilarious. So when my husband at the time got there and his friend, we ate dinner and we're like, okay, let's watch this comedy. When we were watching the comedy, it was not funny at all. I mean, it was just not even a little bit funny. It was offensive. We didn't even know why we didn't find it funny. And my sister was sitting next to me, and she says now that she thought somebody was standing behind her. And I thought the dog, she had a Rottweiler, I thought the dog was behind us. But now I know it was that thing, because what happened was the silhouette, a Black silhouette of a person manifested right in the center of the room in front of the TV. And of course, I was up screaming. My ex-husband, my husband at the time, was screaming. My sister was up going screaming. The dog was running from wall to wall. You could hear it banging in the room, like boom, boom, barking. And that thing was right in the center of the room. It was a person shape. It was a person, a silhouette, a dark shadow, and it was standing. And again, it was really tall. And I was, here I am, I'll rebuke you. And I'm laughing because it wasn't, now I know it wasn't evil. It was actually manifested because we were out of pocket, sitting there trying to laugh at some BS, like, why am I laughing at people grieving? But anyway, so it was in the middle of the room, and then it just like moved over, floated over to the wall. And then it was on the wall, and it went, from the center of the wall, it was like a silhouette of a person, like a shadow. And then it went up to the left, like it like floated up to the left corner of the wall. And then it came back down like in a U, and it went up to the right corner of the wall. And then it came back to the center, and then it just disappeared.
What?
Yeah. It wasn't a demon. Somebody said it's a demon. It wasn't a demon. It was a watcher. It was a watcher. A lot of stuff happened too. I'll tell you something else. I took pictures of it, and I have it. When I was living in the same house, no, it was a different house of where when my son was little, and I had just had my daughter, a light in the hallway. Everything was dark, but a perfect circle on the wall in the hallway appeared, and it was there all night long till the next day. it was just a light on the wall. And there's a lot of stuff that's taken place. Like I forget about a lot of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy things that have happened too. So much stuff that is so normal for me in my family, you know?
Do you think it's like just being in Arizona? Something wild is going on in
Yeah,
Arizona.
it's Arizona because there are people.
And there's too much wild stuff. Everybody talk about a lot of wild things in Arizona. So
Arizona, you're right. Because listen, one more story. I'm not the only one who has these stories in Arizona. You're absolutely right about the Southwest. So I was younger. I was in my 20s. I might have been in my late teens. But anyway, my friend is like, oh, I want to introduce you to this guy that my boyfriend's friend. So we go out to the lake. And this is before, this is Arizona before it's been super developed, right? Because I'm old as hell. We have people riding horses in the street, y'all. And I'm telling you, anyway. So we're at Lake Pleasant. I think it was either Lake Pleasant or Sororo, but it was not developed. A lot of brush, and we were out by the lake, and it was like about 3 p.m. And so we were there hanging out. We ate, we grilled, but I kept on seeing this thing across the lake, like. It was probably about, I'm going to say 100 yards, half of a football field, like 150 yards away, but it was across the lake. And there was this dark, imagine like a fire hydrant, but it's black. But there wouldn't be a fire hydrant out by the lake, right? And I was like, what is that? And we kept saying it for hours. I was like, what is that? And it was just black, like I would say, is it a trash can? Did somebody forget their boom box? What is that? And we just kept staring at it. So my friend and her boyfriend leave, and I'm out there with this guy, and he's, the sun starts to go down. It's about now probably, I'm going to say 6-ish, 7-ish, because we were out there all day at the lake, right? So I'm like, I just kept saying, and throughout the time we're there, I'm like, but what is that thing? And we kind of told jokes about it. So this guy has his back to the thing. His back is to the lake. And then I'm facing the lake and I'm facing the thing that's been still. It's like, I'm thinking, it's just a waste paper basket, or somebody left a carry-on, like how a black carry-on suitcase looks like. So it's out there, and this guy's like trying to, get all flirty and trying to make a move on me, just like you see in the movies. Like he wants to try to kiss me. And the minute he leaned in to try to kiss me, that thing stood up and started walking toward us. Yes.
What the hell?
Around the lake, yes. And it was already getting dark. And when that thing stood up, it was dark and tall. It was like a figure of a human or whatever, because it had arms and legs, and it was walking toward us. I moved so fast. I ran. I grabbed my keys. I left that guy behind. I jumped in my car. I was leaving him, and he was running. I remember he picked up the blanket, and he was running, and he's like, please don't leave me. And I was so mad because we could have been killed. Like they didn't listen to me. I was like, that's something. And that thing was coming toward us around the lake. And I kind of slowed down. I said, jump in, get in the car. I didn't even stop the car. He jumped in, and I'll never forget, he closed the door because the blanket was still dragging outside the door. Yeah, that happened in Arizona.
Did he see it too, or he didn't get to see it?
Yeah, he saw. That's why he was running for his life. I was leaving him. Because we were all saw it when it was just still and squatted down. But I don't know if it like transfigured, but it came up like as if it was squatting, but you couldn't see anything squatting. And then all of a sudden it was just a purse, like a shadow figure of a person, imagine a black figure, like made out of ash or something, just moving toward you, walking toward you fast. And it wasn't like a slow walk. It was like a flow, like when you walk on that one moving walkway in the airport, it was like walking toward us like that really fast. But I got out of there. Yeah, that's one of my them's crazy stories, but it's true. It really happened.
Yeah, Arizona's wow. Without shoes.
You know, in Sedona, when you go to Sedona,
Do they have like store like are these creatures like something that's well known in Arizona that people have said?
Let me tell you.
What do they call them?
Well, there's a lot of names people call, like some people called it the Yenaldushi. Some people will call them watchers, like I do. Some people say they're shadow people. Some people will call, like in Sedona, I was going to tell you, if you ever go to Sedona, the actual like mascot for Sedona, they show little green people, like the little aliens. People see them so many times, like you know, there's so many paranormal things happening in the Southwest, and damn, there's so much stuff. There's so many different stories I could tell you. Like,
it's in Arizona, shadow people.
Yeah,
describing the dark human-shaped silhouettes that move with intent.
Yeah, that thing was intent to get our butts. It was going.
That is crazy.
But anyway, yeah. There's another thing that. Okay, so when we lived by a golf course, that we found that it used to be an Indian burial ground, and they do that a lot over here. They have no respect. They built a golf course over it, an Indian burial ground. It's over on like 19th Avenue and Thunderbird. So we lived over there in this condo overlooking the golf course, and we always saw something like inexplicable in the sky. Like it would come toward the damn. I could tell you this story is long, but all right. So I was trying to find out more truth about, you know, God and the Bible. This is when I started to like really studying. I was trying to find out the name. I wanted to know the name of Jesus because I was listening to all these different people about Jesus isn't the real name, and this lady that I followed, because I used to can like peaches and fruits and stuff. So she was the lady I watched on YouTube. This is in 2000. I'm gonna say 2009, probably 2009. So think about YouTube, how it was, you know. So I used to watch her, and she just was this lady that did gardening, and she would can food, and I would just like to watch her. She never talked about God or anything, never. So one day when I was looking on the internet, I was looking up the name and trying to find the stuff out, and I just checked on her to see, okay, I wonder what she did on her canning. So she's sitting there, she's like, I'm not even kidding you. This is wild, this story. Like, she's sitting there all serious. Usually she's all like, you know, up and preppy, and she's like, if you want to know him, he wants you to go to him, and you need to get down on your knees, turn off the internet, and you have to pray. I was like, what? This is wild. So I was like, nah, this is crazy. I'm not going to do it. But then I thought, well, why is she saying this? So I closed my laptop. I got on my knees and I started to pray. And we had like a panoramic glass wall. It wasn't like, you know, you could see the golf course, like from ceiling to floor was all like glass, you know, the window, it was like a wall, but it was window, you know? So when I opened my eyes and I looked over the golf course, this fireball was coming toward our home, toward the window, toward us. And it was small, but it kept getting closer and bigger and bigger. And it was right there to where I dropped to my knees. And I started screaming at the top of my lungs saying, Jesus, help us. Like, I thought it was the end of the world. It was a ball of fire. And my husband at the time ran in the room. My son came in, and they all like saw it, and we all huddled and like hugged each other like it was the end, you know? And then the fireball just disappeared. That shit's crazy, right? There's a lot of
Wow.
stories,
Crazy.
but that really happened. But it was a huge fireball. And then after that, I kept seeing those fireballs like in the night, but then they would turn into like airplanes. I'm telling this story. Okay, that's enough. That's all. There's a lot of
Wow, though. That's
It's wild, right? You got to come to Arizona and check it out. Don't take my word for it. Oh, I took Killer Priest to South Mountain. Shout out to Killer Priest and some of his crew. But basically, they were like, we want to see a UFO. We want to see an alien. So I'm like, there's a mountain out here. There's a part of South Mountain that you'll always see something, right? It's not hard to see something, right? So we get there and we just wait. And then, sure enough, this light appears on the side of the mountain. This is like night. This is like 11 p.m. So we went from the studio over to South Mountain, and there's this huge, like if somebody was shining a spotlight on the side of the mountain, and then it shrunk down to like a tiny light, but it was just going up all over the side of the mountain, like it was just going everywhere. And then it turned and they took their phones out to like try to film it, but then it started to shine on us. And I said, we got to go. Cause I was feeling the vibe. Like, I was like, we need to leave because everything isn't going to be, benevolent. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Yeah.
Wait, it says you're putting me on game though. Yeah. So anyway, we'll talk more about that, but there's a lot of stuff. You got to come out here. You said you're going to come and then we could go.
My friend that lived out there for a second, she actually, took some pictures of some wild like orbs and stuff like that was out there.
Yes.
Like a lot of orb pictures.
That's what I'm talking about when I say the light. Those are orbs. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Orbs. Yep. 100%. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So sometimes I'm so used to it. Like I'm more fearful of people than some spiritual stuff. So that's it. Enough of that.
So this has been a great live. I encourage you guys to look into the prophetesses. I look forward to tomorrow. We get to go deeper into this XY chromosome thing. I have to go to the doctors at 2 or 2 to 4. I'm not sure when you want to do it, but.
Oh, well, let me know. We'll talk. Look, we'll do it for sure, though. We can do it this time if we have to. Israel Rising said, I've never seen a UFO, but my mom says she saw a UFO, so I believe you. And Judah, even though I never seen one, but I did see a shadow on a wall move with no physical body to make the shadow. And that's absolutely true. The shadows are real, so I absolutely believe you. And I have it in my song where I says, I think I saw you in a shadow on the wall. Is that you? I see you standing down the hall when you have someone transition. So 100%, you will see stuff.
Yeah, so that might be an ancestor of yours, like a grandpa or like an ancient ancestor.
Definitely. Yeah, it is. It will be. It is. They're breaking through from one realm, and think of how much energy they have to use to contact you. So a lot of times,
whatever was going on, like, you better not be trying to get my granddaughter. That guy must not have been mean you any good. He was not playing that. He said, what you about to do?
Oh, wow. All right. Well, this is great. Much love to you, Dios Mio, and Israel Rising, and everybody else who participated, FS Drathio, and everybody who, if I don't say your name, it's so much love and happiness that you're here. We will do this again. We did some stuff today. So tomorrow, let me know, Genesis. I'm going to go to bed.
Me too. Y'all just watch the replay for anybody in the bushes. If you missed some of it, I hope the replay gang. There's a lot of information in this live stream, so shouts out.
Yes, shalom. I like shalom. Peace to everybody. Peace to the darkest minds of the light and to the alchemizers of the alchemizing energy. I said alchemizers.
The alchemists.
Oh, the alchemists of the alchemizing energy,
Yes.
because we are all doing our best to know what is truth. We want to get beneath the surface, right, Genesis? We don't want to
Yes.
just stay on the surface. We want to dig deep.
Right.
All right. Peace, everybody. Go to bed. Everybody go to bed. Okay, I'm ending the stream. Peace, everybody. Peace and love to you. Thanks for staying with us. All right.
Dive deep.